go. It is finally, after so many days, so many hours, so many weeks of anticipation, of buildup, it is finally a Red Friday for Super Bowl 58. Brendan Dworzinski, Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis, all here with you today on 580 Sports Talk as we get ready for Super Bowl 58 as the Chiefs try to become the first team in exactly 2 decades to win back-to-back Super Bowls, trying to win their third in the Reid and Mahomes era. It is their 4th appearance in the Super Bowl in the last 5 years. They're going for their 3rd Super Bowl win in those 4 tries. And we have 4 full hours breaking down Super Bowl 58, getting you ready for the Super Bowl coming up today. That includes, in just mere moments, we will get to our keys to the game. We'll also play a little Change My Mind with a Super Bowl tinge to it this hour. We will hear from Derrick coming up at the bottom of the 3 o'clock hour. We'll break down what is at stake in Super Bowl 58, not just for individual players. Spencer found an interesting piece from The Athletic about Chris Jones specifically. So Jones and Mahomes and Kelsey and McCaffrey and Purdy, what is at stake for individual players? What about individual coaches? What about these franchises? And I think that question is more interesting for the NFC competitor here than the AFC competitor. So we'll touch on that in the 3 o'clock hour today. 4 o'clock hour. Very excited for this. We've got our annual Super Bowl prop bet contest. We're going to format this the same way we did last year. We're all getting $100. This is fake money. I'm not giving you guys $100 in cash.
You told us you were.
I just took nice. Let me tell you a little something about my bank account. I hope you already told me yesterday you were not tailing America East Thursday. And for your sake, I'm glad you did not.
Oh, no.
It was the single worst day in the history of America East Thursday. Dear. We went a cool 0 for 4. I think
that's tough. When you're right 52% of the time, you're wrong 48% of the time.
We were in the black all season, had not had a losing week yet this year on America East Thursday. And unfortunately, it was rough. It was a rough day yesterday.
I'm sorry to hear that.
No getting around that. So we're going to use fake money. We're going to use the Monopoly money here. $100 for each of us. We can use it on any prop bets we want. They can be game bets. They can be Gatorade color, coin toss. Is Travis... I guess technically in the U.S., we're not allowed to. None of the books are carrying. Will Travis Kelce propose to Taylor Swift? If you want to go to FanDuel Canada and grab that one, though, go for it. You can put your money on that one.
Go and get that free money, man. That would be so sweet if we could bet that.
A $100 bet on that will net you somewhere in the neighborhood of like a quarter of a hay penny. Like that's all that you're getting for betting no on that prop. So we will pick our winner, whoever has the most money left over, and winnings from their props. We'll get to that coming up in the 4 o'clock hour today. We are working on getting a behind enemy lines interview here with someone who covers the 49ers. Doing our best to get that set up. Hopefully we can bring you that sometime this afternoon as well. Got our 580 Sports Talk headlines, our What Is Wrong With You championship for the week, and a whole lot more. We would love for you to be a part of the show. Text line number 785-272-9429. And of course, the YouTube stream 580 Sports Talk on Twitter is where you can find us. While we were out yesterday, someone touched our cameras.
Yeah.
If you're looking at Dan's screen, if you're watching us on YouTube, first of all, thank you.
Yeah. Shout out to whoever put my camera on the moon.
Yeah. Now, like you can see a large portion of my body and Dan's camera. It was not like this before.
No, I don't know what happened.
I'm not sure.
I know when I logged on to the app we use, it actually had this camera, my original camera set up. So I had to move it.
Interesting. Who was in here finagling? That's what I need to know. We're going to get to the bottom.
It had to be somebody after the show yesterday and between today. So I don't know.
A 580 Sports Talk investigation. We'll figure that out. But either way, you can find us on YouTube.
Eventually, you will get a chance to look closer at me on today's show. And Brendan, too, because Brendan zoomed out as well. But I think,
you can see Brendan's arms and
You
half
can
of his
see my
face
face.
in
You can
Dan's
see
shot.
my whole torso in
Yeah,
Dan's
I'm not.
camera.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not. I guess I am kind of. Yeah, you can. If I really lean into the microphone here, you can just see like
Yeah.
the front of my face.
I'm gonna go ahead and just safely blame Bradley J.
Yeah, no, that's pretty
Because
safe. That's probably a
When
safe
in
bet.
doubt, when in doubt.
I mean, he's the one that's on this initiative. So
That's true. He's sabotaging us from the inside.
a saboteur.
So we'd love to get your comments on YouTube. And of course, we would love to get your texts in on the text line as well.
Comment on the Facebook too. We see those. Comment on the Facebook stream.
Yeah.
We're up on the we're up on WIBW News on Facebook. You can comment on there. Tell your auntie and uncle and grandma and grandpa who spend a lot of time on Facebook that now a really good sports talk show is on Facebook and they should check it out.
We would love for you to do so. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and of course, 580 AM, 104.9 FM, and 580WIBW.com. All right. Without further ado, no more stalling. Super Bowl 58 is coming up in, and I got to get the math right here, 51 and a half hours. 51 hours and 18 minutes is when Super Bowl 58 will kick off from Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. Let's get to our keys to the game, our final Red Friday of the year, our final Chiefs keys to the game for the 2023 season as we get ready for Chiefs versus 49ers. Dan, I will give you the floor first here. Your first key to Super Bowl 58.
I'm not sure that any of these that any of us give you are going to be surprised as if you've been an avid listener the last couple of weeks. 2 weeks is a long time to break down any one single game, but we're going to hammer some points home here as the major factors, I think, in this football game. Number one for the Chiefs, for me, defensively, you have to win first down. The 49ers offense is dramatically different if you make Brock Purdy have to beat you on third and medium and on third and long. But to get them to third and medium and third and long, you have to be gap sound, assignment sound, and tackle well on first and second down. If Christian McCaffrey is carving his way through the heart of the Chiefs defense to 6, 7, 8, 9 yards on first down, then you're going to have trouble getting the 49ers to third down. Never mind getting them into difficult third downs. You want to get them to spots where you can come after Brock Purdy. You can show him some things that confuse him. One stat I heard that was really interesting, that the Chiefs, the zone defenses that they like to run, they actually defend the run really well out of their coverages, out of their zone coverages, which is not always the case. But the Chiefs are particularly good at when they disguise a coverage, when they bring some pressure and they play some zone on the back end. They're also very good at defending the run. So they might be able to get up the field and try and make some plays on early downs, try and take some chances and have some faith that those chances won't result in busted plays and 40, 50-yard gains down the field. So I would expect to see maybe some of that on early downs early in the game, but broadly, the Chiefs must be good on first down, must limit the chunks of yardage that the 49ers are gaining on those early down plays so that you can get to third and medium, third and long, and really have some fun with the pass rush.
And I think that really circles back to some of the points we've made about Brock Purdy over the course of the last 2 weeks. And it's not that Brock Purdy is a bad quarterback, but you would prefer to force him to make winning plays as opposed to allowing him to just simply distribute the ball. Because if it's third down and 3, your entire playbook is open. The entire thing is open if you get down to third down and 3. If you're in third down and 8, though, it's a whole lot harder to just say, flip it to Christian McCaffrey 3 yards down the field, you're going to get the first down. That's a whole lot more difficult. So that, to me, really illustrates your point here, Dan, that you do not want to allow 5 yards picked up on first down, another 3 or 4 yards on second down. You want to avoid those things. You have to slow down McCaffrey in that running game as much as possible, even the short passing game on the first couple of downs, because the easier it is to pick up those third downs, the easier you're making life on Brock Purdy. And I think we're all in agreement here. You don't want life to be easy on him. That's one of the entire things you're trying to accomplish defensively in this game. Spencer, your first key.
My first key today, or for the game Sunday, is we need to see that Chiefs offense of recent, not the regular season offense. We need to see the one that's been in sync, that's been dominant, especially with that triangle of Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce, and Isaiah Pacheco. We need to see a team that doesn't have trouble getting in and out of the huddles. We need to see a team that can march down the field. I think you'll be able to tell this if they're able to march down the field on their first drive and score a touchdown.
The Chiefs have been fantastic at scoring early in games. I think it was Bill Barnwell who was on sports analyst Scott Van Pelt this week, who was giving some of his favorite props. It might have been somewhere else. I think it was on ESPN, though. And whoever this was said that go back and look at the games where the Chiefs had the most success this year. They've been able to go right down the field and score and get ahead early in games because similar to, in a similar vein to Dan's point about you want to force the 49ers into these third and long situations, second and long, fourth and long, don't want to give up big yardage on first down. You want to win that down. It's the same thing in principle when you're talking about the Chiefs, whereas if you get ahead early, if you're playing from ahead, that allows your defense with that pass rush, with those awesome defensive backs to really tee off and play from a position of strength. So I'm with you. I think if you get out to a fast start in this game, you should be able to feel pretty comfortable if you're the Chiefs. And I would agree that, if you're relying on the triangle, as Mitch Holthus calls them, you're probably going to be in a pretty good spot because they've been three of the very best players with the ball in their hands, Rice and Kelsey and Pacheco, throughout this whole postseason, regardless of team.
Exactly.
First key for me, I'm going to stick with the offense here for Sunday's game. And it's something we talked about a ton on the show yesterday. We've brought it up a few times over the course of the last couple of weeks. But essentially, hit it where they ain't. Baseball, normally you say that. Well, if everybody is shifted, there's an open hole on the left side. Try to get that ball through the left side. Similarly, again, in a similar vein here, the 49ers do what they do. They are not going to change what they do. Certain guys are going to line up in certain spots, and we'll touch on that again with my big chief in a few minutes, but they're going to line guys up in the same spots defensively. Defensive backs are going to be in the same spot defensively for most snaps, most downs. So counter that. If the 49ers are likely not going to mix things up, and I understand everybody is talking about this, maybe the 49ers do pull a rabbit out of their hat, change things up. I have a hard time believing that, but maybe it's possible. But if your expectation is the Niners are just going to do what they do and try to out-talent you defensively, that's kind of been their whole strategy this year. You're playing from a position of strength then if you're the Chiefs, because even more than is normally the case with defense, you are in a position where you are forcing them to be reactive and not proactive. They're not going to hide anything. We talked about the numbers. They disguise their defensive coverages at the third lowest rate of any team in the entire NFL this year. They're doing what they do. So go to different personnel groupings. Put 2 tight ends. Put 3 tight ends on the field. Go with double running backs in some situations if you think that's going to help create a little misdirection. Maybe that neutralizes that pass rush pressure from Nick Bosa, for example. So do the things that San Francisco is not typically prepared to do. They don't like to shift coverages, and they don't like to shift personnel groupings when you go with multiple running backs, 21 personnel, 22 personnel, 12 personnel. So 2 running backs, 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends, whatever you want to end up going with. Try to do those things because the Chiefs, I think, with an extra week of preparation, knowing how standard, I guess is the word I will use, this 49ers defense is likely going to look in this game, I would imagine there have been plenty of things that have been put into the game plan or walked through over the course of the last 2 weeks or thought about by Andy Reid, where he says, okay, knowing the Niners want to do this with their linebackers, they want to do this with their defensive backs, etc. Here is how we are going to counter that simply with personnel. You might even be able to run some of your base offensive concepts just going with heavier personnel and mixing in, hey, instead of a wide receiver here, we're going to put Noah Gray in the slot here. Are they going to be able to keep up with our big guys? My answer, my assumption is no. And that's why I think trying to mix those personnel groupings up offensively is going to make things really tough on the Niner defense.
Something I've been thinking about a lot this week in regards to that word static that describes the 49ers defense. The guys on the Athletic Football Show, Robert Mays and Nate Tice, were talking about this. I was listening to that. I've listened to a lot of stuff about this game this week. Again, 2 weeks is a long time to get hyped for a game. And the one thing they keep saying, and I agree with this assessment, if Patrick Mahomes gets to the line and he knows what he's going to see, he's going to destroy you.
Yes.
He's going to light you up. And for me, that would suggest that the 49ers have to have come up with some kind of wrinkle. What is that wrinkle going to be from the 49ers defense? What are they going to do to try and disguise things in a way that they don't normally disguise things? And how long does it take Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid to suss it out? Because typically it doesn't take those guys long. Like, it might be an interesting first half if indeed there's a big wrinkle and the 49ers are able to execute it well, because it's not just as simple as, oh, we're going to change what we do. Like, the Buccaneers did that in Super Bowl 55. They went away from their season-long tendencies in terms of coverage and pass rush. Mm-hmm. The reason it worked is because they won up front. So if the 49ers aren't able to consistently win up front, if they make changes on the back end, the Chiefs will figure it out eventually if there's no pressure up front. But if they are really going to be who they are, if they're going to come into the Super Bowl saying, Patrick Mahomes, Schmatrick Mahomes, we do what we do. This is what we're going to do. We're going to trust our talent. We're going to trust our scheme. They're going to have a bad time. I can't get past that. That has been my main reason, one of my main reasons that I have believed since we knew the matchup that the Chiefs were going to win, that eventually Mahomes is going to know what he's going to see, and they're going to take advantage of it over and over again. Even if that means a little less Mahomes and a little more Isaiah Pacheco on the ground.
I'd be all right with that. I'd be totally fine with that.
My second key to the game on Sunday is red zone efficiency, but this goes back to sort of game theory type stuff, risk versus reward type of stuff. Kyle Shanahan really wants this Super Bowl, like really, really wants to win this Super Bowl. We will talk at length later on in the show about how much this would mean for his legacy as a head coach. And I think this will lead him to coach maybe more aggressively in this game than he typically does, because Shanahan is a little bit more willing to kick field goals in the red zone than you would expect a team with this good of an offense to be. I don't think it's going to be the case in this game. I think he's going to let them hang, and I think they're going to go for a lot of fourth downs. Let them hang. What are them? Them. You know what I'm talking about. I think they're going to be a lot more aggressive in those fourth down situations. Their kicker, Jake Moody's 3 of 6 in the playoffs. I think they came to score touchdowns. They're going to come to the stadium to score touchdowns on Sunday. So the Chiefs had better be prepared to match that. If Kyle Shanahan breaks his tendency, you have to match them. And if he doesn't, then willingness to go for fourth downs and scoring range could be a difference for the Chiefs. And this is where, particularly in the red zone, I think we're going to see those perimeter runs come out for the Chiefs. The ones that they had so much success with, notably with McCole Hardman last season. I think that's where you're going to see the Chiefs break that stuff out, is in the red zone. So they've got to be really good. They've got to finish we've got to finish drives with touchdowns.
I'm going to jump the line here, Spencer, because I also have a red zone key for my second one to hear. Red zone defense for the Chiefs. The 49ers were the best team in the NFL this season in red zone touchdown rate. They scored a touchdown when they got inside the 20, 68.5% of the time. That was multiple percentage points better than the second place team. They are really good when they get inside the 20-yard line. And it's not as simple as, okay, well, what if you just stop Christian McCaffrey? If you're able to totally slow down their run game, they can't do anything. Well, not really, because Deebo Samuel had, I believe it was 3 touchdowns in the red zone this year, 5 for Brandon Ayuk, another 3 for George Kittle. Kind of amazing. Kittle only had 3, and a little bit weird with that kind of body type and play style that he's more of a between the 20s ball mover than he is in the red zone, but still a usable red zone target. Juwan Jennings has been really good. They can go to Elijah Mitchell on the goal line as well. Sometimes they'll do that to save Christian McCaffrey, especially later on in games. So maybe not in the Super Bowl. I'm sure you want McCaffrey out there as much as possible, but you understand what I'm saying. They've got a bunch of different dudes who can get into the end zone. That is going to be, I think, the biggest key for this Chiefs defense. You can allow a big play here or there. You can allow them to get to the red zone. But if you allow them to get in, that's only going to put more pressure on your defense to get a stop the next time. And it's going to continue to put pressure on an offense that, while it's been playing its best football, is flawed. I think it's just foundationally flawed, not fatally for the Chiefs, but there are things that cannot be fixed between the AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl because they haven't been fixed from week 1 all the way until the Super Bowl. So just alleviating as much pressure as possible, plus the fact that, as we talked about earlier in the week, or it might have even been last week at this point, all the days have blurred together. There's a lot of time to talk about this game from championship game until Super Bowl. Jake Moody is not a sure thing really from anywhere on the field. Like, if the Niners get to the 20 and stall out, how comfortable are you with him kicking a 38-yard field goal?
I don't know.
He's not
That's a good question.
He's not especially good on 33-yard kicks for extra points. Like, if you can force Moody onto the field, one, field goal attempts are wins. If you are in the Super Bowl, forcing a field goal attempt is a win unless it is an attempt to win the game, essentially. And if you're sending out a kicker in Jake Moody who is not especially good, that is obviously a win for the Chiefs. Now, the one thing to consider, the flip side of that, is knowing that they might not be able to trust the artist formerly known as Money Moody. They might go for it on fourth down a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like, if you end up with 4th and goal at the 5, you might see the 49ers go for it a little bit more often than they're used to.
I think you're going to. I think that's how Shanahan's going to coach this game. I could be wrong because that would be a tendency breaker, but I do think that's how he's going to coach this game.
Spencer, your final key.
My final key is kind of the opposite of you guys because you're like in the red zone. Mine is big hitters. You got to limit the weapons of the 49ers between Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk. You can't let them beat you more than once in the game. I was going back through the 49ers games this year, just looking at box scores, and it seems like there's almost at least one per game where there's a 30-plus yard touchdown, run, or reception from any of those four players that I just mentioned. So you can't let that happen, and you can't let that happen more than once, especially.
Which of those guys worries you the most?
Deebo, I think, because you could line him up in the backfield. You could line him up out wide. He can not only do the short stuff, but I mean, we've seen him this year have I think 50-plus yard touchdown catch. I think back in December. I mean, McCaffrey is McCaffrey, but there's so much tape on him. So I can only imagine how much tape that this Chiefs defense has watched on McCaffrey.
Sure.
And even Nick Bolton the other day said, we played the soundbite yesterday on the show, how important it is to know where Deebo is on any play, because they could line him up in the backfield and then he could catch a 30-plus yard pass.
Real quick, is he the most unique player in the NFL?
Yeah, I think there's only one Deebo Samuel.
I think so too.
Most unique offensively.
Yeah,
I would say that. Just doing a little quick back in the napkin math here. It looks like 10 touchdowns this season of 30 or more yards from the line of scrimmage for the 49ers offense.
Wow.
If you expand that to 20-plus yards, you get to 15. So that really is. It's almost one a week.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, big Chief picks. Spencer, you're first.
I had a player, and I changed it only because he's a rookie. I had Rashee Rice.
Okay.
And I'm going back to my first pick that I had, and I said was a dumb pick to be the first week player. But it's just Travis Kelce. He shows up in big-time games. If we'll have time, we'll get into it later with his targets in the postseason and things like that. And I'll tell you what, I wasn't going to get back into betting, but I did in fact deposit $20 into my FanDuel account earlier and did in fact bet on Kelce, the over on catches and 1+ touchdown. So,
ooh, you parlay those?
Yeah.
A
couple of them. We'll get into it later.
Wow, we're a bad influence.
My big Chief is going to be Kelce.
By the way, real quick, I was telling Dan about this earlier. So I was over at the Prairie Band website. And by the way, shout out to Prairie Band Sportsbook. We had a blast yesterday up there at the book. A lot of fun. They took really good care of us. Super, super, super recommend going and checking it out if you want to put some action on Super Bowl 58, heading up to Prairie Band Sportsbook and all the different contests and promotions they've got going on. But I was on the Prairie Band website today, and I was looking to see what kind of props they have for the game. And in Kansas and in other places in the country, it's a little more accessible. But in Kansas, it's one of the states that doesn't have a ton of the like goofy prop bets, the color of the Gatorade and whatever. So I did see that they had Super Bowl cross sport bets, which I love. They're so stupid. Like, they're just so dumb, but I love them. The things that are like, which number is higher? The total passing yards for Patrick Mahomes or the total score in Bucks Pacers or whatever. Like, those are dumb, but I find them to be very funny. There was one tab that said Swift Kelce crossover props. And I thought, oh, wow, they do have Taylor Swift stuff. But it was some soccer player in England named John Swift. So it was like Kelce touchdowns or John Swift goals, which will be higher. Very, very funny. West Bromwich Albion was the team that John Swift plays
they
for,
thought
by the way.
outside the box there.
Yeah, I know. I thought that was very funny. All right, Dan, you're big Chief.
Big Chief for me is Justin Reed. I think the Chiefs secondary is going to play a massive role in this game, both in run support and also in defending the pass. Brock Purdy's going to throw you one. Brock Purdy, he's a lot like Josh Allen. Like, everybody's got him compared to, like, they want to say, oh, he's a game manager. He's check down Charlie. He's this and that. He's got a little Josh Allen to him.
Sure.
Like the whole, I'm just going to throw it because I believe I can get it to where it needs to go. He's got that gunslinger to him. And we always say that about Josh Allen. Like, he's going to throw you one. He's going to put the ball where it can be intercepted at least once in this game. And a turnover in a game like this could be massive, could be the difference. I think the Chiefs are going to create a turnover in this game, and I've got a hunch it comes from Justin Reed. So he is my big Chief.
My big chief pick, I'm going with Juwan Taylor, and it's pretty simple. Who is the most dangerous defensive player that the 49ers have?
Nick Bosa.
Where is he going to line up all game long?
Right over the right tackle.
That is what they do. That is what he does, and that means a huge assignment for Juwan Taylor. And again, if I was the Niners, I would flip that around. I'm having Nick Bosa run from the other side. I want him matched up on Donovan Smith, but that's just not what Steve Wilks does. That's not what the 49ers generally do. Now, maybe that changes, but that's not what they generally do. That's a huge assignment for Taylor. I assume he will probably get at least a little bit of help in terms of chips, in terms of tight end protection, but he's got a huge assignment. If he holds up, I think the Chiefs are going to be just fine.
I want to point out Mark in the YouTube comments who just pointed out if this game is Chris Jones' last as a Chief, he may go out with a bang. Chris Jones against John Feliciano could be a absolutely massive mismatch in this game.
Yep.
And pressure up the middle could absolutely bust the pipes for the 49ers in their passing game. I think Chris Jones would be a great big chief pick too.
Yeah.
So
he was on my list of trying to decide between players. So.
I think he could end up with a monster game.
It's a great point. Absolutely a great point. All right, score predictions. I will go first with this one. I've got, I think, the smallest margin, but we're all on the Chiefs to win this one. I'm going Chiefs 26, 49ers 22. I think we go over that total of 47.5 points. I like the Chiefs to win. I think that they are the more prepared team. I think they are the more focused team. And given 2 weeks to prepare, I'm taking Andy Reid over Kyle Shanahan every time.
I think there is a quarterback advantage, there is a defense advantage, and there is a coaching advantage in this game, and they all belong to the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the Chiefs raised their third Lombardi in 5 years with a 24-16 victory on Sunday night.
Yeah,
Spencer?
We're all in agreement here about the Chiefs. We heard all the people we've had on for the last couple of weeks. You can't bet against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. 24-17 Chiefs win it. And I think that it's really 24-10 for most of the third or the second half. And then the 49ers try to come back late and they're able to get one touchdown and it makes it 24-17. But they go for that onside kick. And as it is for most of the season with the onside kick, you're not getting the onside kick, so
defense recovers it.
Yeah, defense recovers the Chiefs recover it, then they kneel it down and they win their third in 5 years.
Those are our picks. We're all on the Chiefs. We want your picks. Let us know who is going to win Super Bowl 58. Who's your big Chief pick as well? Let us know. Text line number 785-272-9429. Hit us up on YouTube. 580 Sports Talk is the name of our YouTube channel. We are also on the WIBW News Facebook page. You can find us on the 580 Sports Talk Twitter account, video streaming as well. We've got plenty more Super Bowl to get to, including Change My Mind coming up right after the break. We will also talk a little bit of college basketball at the end of the hour. There are some big games coming up this weekend for KU and K-State. We'll get to those. Matt Derrick will join us later on. It is a Red Friday, Super Bowl Friday here on 580 Sports Talk. We're just getting started here on 580 Sports Talk on a Red Friday, Super Bowl Friday. Brendan, Dan, and Spencer with you. Mark on YouTube, he says, can't go against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, so he's going Chiefs 31, 49ers 24, high scoring prediction for Mark. He's on the over as well. Paul from YouTube, he says, MVS recovers the onside kick attempt, proving his hands do actually work. Taking the called shot there even a step farther. We would love to get your takes, your thoughts. Give us the score prediction. Give us a big Chief pick, 785-272-9429, or you can jump in on the YouTube stream at 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. All right. Who wants to go first with Change My Mind today?
I'll go first.
All right.
They won't do this. So this is probably a moot point.
Okay.
But change my mind. The Chiefs should want the ball first on Sunday.
They should want the ball first. I am going to try to change your mind by saying I think you want your best unit on the field first. I think you want the first drive of the game to be your tone-setting game here, and I think that's why the Chiefs would want their defense out there first, not to mention the fact that you can try to double up. And there's another sub-point for you because coaches love to do the double-up thing. They love to win the middle 8, they call it, the 4 minutes at the end of the first half, 4 minutes to begin the second half. That was always something Bill Belichick was incredible about. When the Patriots doubled up during their dynasties, the 20 years of dominance they had, their winning percentage was almost impossible. Like, how in the world do you not fluke into a couple losses even when that ends up happening? Kyle Shanahan is obsessive about it, truly obsessive, to the point where he nearly screwed over his team against Green Bay in the divisional round, trying so hard to double up that he almost put his team in a position where they were going to give up more points to Green Bay, and it didn't even work because they missed a field goal at the end of the second quarter. They are so obsessive about it. He is so obsessive about it. I feel like putting your defense on the field first not only allows you a chance to set the tone early on, but it also makes sure that Shanahan is not getting that advantage that he desperately, desperately wants.
I think that if you have a chance to go out and score, I think Mitch Holtz has said it's 8 straight playoff games the Chiefs have opened with a touchdown, which is either has tied or set an NFL record. If you think you can go out with your scripted stuff and put 7 on the board and plant that initial seed of doubt in the 49ers, now maybe that's not as effective considering the 49ers have rallied from behind in the second half to win both of their playoff games, but still, there is a game script for the 49ers that they would prefer to follow, and it involves them taking the lead. I think the Chiefs are comfortable playing either way. I still don't think the 49ers are. So I think if you got a chance to put them on the mat early on, have them chase the game a little bit from the word go, I think that might be the way to go. I don't think the Chiefs would ever do it. Like I said, I think if they win the toss, they're deferring. That's what they do. But I don't think it'd be the worst thing in the world if they had the ball to start the game.
Spencer, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that that would be a good choice. And as I mentioned, I want to see them go down the field and score a touchdown. So if you can start that off in an 8-minute drive, you get the ball, somehow they get the ball, start the game, and you go down and you chew some clock, you set the tone for the game, and you score a touchdown, and you're up 7-0, and you kick it off with about 7.5, 6.5 left in the first quarter. That's what I think you want to do if you're the Chiefs.
Makes sense. Might change my mind for this weekend. It is much better to watch the Super Bowl in a small group or alone than at a party.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad we're all
that's
all in agreement there.
No, I would hate to watch it with a a big crowd. Like, I guess define small group.
Like
5,
your wife and your 2 best friends.
Yeah, like no more than like half a dozen, 6 to 8 people. Yeah, that's like the perfect size. You get too many people going on. There's too many side conversations.
Yes.
And like you want a small group, I think, for the Super Bowl get together. That's totally fine.
I have my core is essentially the guys who are in my wedding. Like outside of that and my wife, like I don't really want to watch any sports with anyone else. And I don't mean to sound like a total jerk about it because I'm sure I come off to some people like a jerk about this. I don't want to watch the Super Bowl with a bunch of casuals. I'm just going to be completely honest with you. Like I don't want to hear Emmanuel Acho takes from like Dave from Sheboygan during the game. Like I'm not interested in that.
I especially don't want that if I have interest in the game. when I was in college, when I was a sophomore, that was Super Bowl 40.
Mhm.
You may recall that was the Seahawks and the Steelers. So I had a vested interest in the outcome. I lasted about the first 10 minutes of the game, or like 10 minutes real time of the game, not even 10 minutes of game time, 10 minutes of real time out in the main room where me and my roommates were throwing a Super Bowl party. And I just shut myself in my own room and watched the game by myself. I couldn't handle it.
I think Super Bowl 45, when the Packers were in it, I was a sophomore in high school. And I think we had maybe 5 people together to watch it because there were multiple Packers fans in the group. So it was okay. And my buddy who was hosting it, he wasn't really a fan of either team involved. So he was fine to watch with, and he's a big sports guy. So, yeah, I can't do it. I have a very trusted circle, and I really do not want to go outside of that for watching a game because and again, Super Bowl, like I care. Like if I care for one reason or another, either it's emotional or I care about every football game. Like the Super Bowl, I don't want the garbage takes. I just don't want it. I don't want the side conversations. I want to watch ball. Spencer, do you have a change my mind for us?
Yes, has nothing to do with the Super Bowl. It does have to do. If you saw me on Twitter last night, I was a little fired up during the NFL honors event.
Oh, I missed this.
When they announced the Hall of Fame inductees.
Okay.
This is going to come off sounding biased because I am indeed a Washington fan, although it's not biased because I was not alive when he revolutionized this position.
Okay.
But I think that Brian Mitchell should have gotten into the Hall of Fame before Devin Hester. He revolutionized the kickoff returning and punt returning, being a return specialist in the early 90s. I mean, he has an NFL record for most punt and kick combined yards, 19,000 yards. He doesn't have the touchdowns, but there wasn't really returning touchdowns at that point.
Here's my counter. Here's why I will try to change your mind. Having a bunch of kickoff return yards just means your team's defense stunk.
That's a good argument.
That just means you're returning
It means you were returning a bunch of kicks.
Like if you only return 3 kicks a game, but one goes for a touchdown and the others are like 20-yard returns, well, I mean, you didn't have many chances. But if you have that many yards, I don't actually know his like yards per return average.
It was
maybe he was just on the field a lot returning because his team kept giving up scores.
It was 23.1 return yards per return.
That is pretty good.
Career. Yeah, like very good at it. 3-time All-Pro, 1-time first-team All-Pro. Nah, man, Devin Hester's best to ever do it. Like if you're gonna put kick and punt return specialists in the Hall of Fame, the line forms behind Devin Hester.
Yeah, but there wouldn't be a guy if it wasn't for Brian Mitchell.
I think Devin Hester would have existed without Brian Mitchell. I'm not saying this to dismiss how
Brian Mitchell was a great player.
What they have as teams, like I feel like it wasn't until about 15 years ago, it was well known that you need to carry a long snapper, right?
Well, yeah, but also like
snapper,
35 years ago, dudes worked 2 jobs.
Yeah, but I'm saying like up until like 2010, a lot of the long snappers were either like tight ends or backup offensive linemen. Now they're a legit player on the 53-man roster. Right?
Yeah, but teams have carried kick return guy. I mean,
yes,
Hester was a starting wide receiver, a bad one, but he was one.
He wasn't good at that.
No,
what I'm saying is like if it wasn't for Brian Mitchell revolutionizing that position, being a return specialist, would we have had Devin Hester do what he did? Because he literally stuck around with the Bears because he was good at returning.
I see the argument you're making. I think my counter to that would just be, okay, let's say Brian Mitchell never existed. Devin Hester is still born in, wherever, Florida in 1970, whatever. He still would have had that same skill set and still would have been drafted by the Chicago Bears in 2005, I believe it was.
Man, Brian Mitchell is tied for 172nd all-time in kick return yards in his career. Let's get Tim DeWhite in the Hall of Fame. Let me scroll up the list, see if we can get some guys in the Hall of Fame. Andre Davis, remember him? K-State, great. Washington, great. Rock Cartwright has more kick return yards, yards per return in his career than Brian Mitchell.
For what it's worth,
Clint Milburn. I remember him from growing up in Denver, a Bronco guy.
I would like to say I have no problem with Brian Mitchell going in the Hall of Fame. Like I am fine with a big Hall of Fame in football. There are so many football players. I'm fine with it. I really don't have a problem. And if he gets in at some point, I don't have any.
My
problem.
take is he was nominated in the 2017 class, was not selected as a finalist. In 2021, he was nominated for the 2022 class, not selected, and then Devin Hester just goes in.
Yeah, because Hester was that good, man. Like
I will say this: if we,
it's sort of like if you're arguing for like it's a specialized position, like it's like putting a closer in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Like you would put Mariano Rivera in before you went back and put like Billy Wagner in.
This is
or like Bruce Sutter in the Hall of Fame.
This is what we're about to do with Adam Vinatieri next year.
Right.
This is going to happen again very, very shortly.
By the way, Gale Sayers averaged 30.5 yards per kickoff return. That is still the all-time leader.
Gale Sayers is up there with Bo and very few others as the ultimate, like not early days of football, but decades ago football. What if they had never been hurt?
If you want to argue that nobody ever played the sport of football better than Gale Sayers, I will listen to that argument. And hey, that's local because we're talking. He's a KU guy.
That's right.
Yeah,
Kansas Comet.
Local story.
We do have to get to a timeout. We'll get to some college basketball thoughts real quick coming up on the other side of this break here on 580 Sports Talk. We'll get back to the Super Bowl previews coming up in just a little bit here on 580 Sports Talk. I'm Brendan. That's Dan. That's Spencer. We're here with you until 6 o'clock today. Well, 5:45-ish today. We're going to be up a few minutes early. We've got our Lewis Toyota High School Basketball Game of the Week doubleheader, and it should be a blast.
The War on 24, Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. War on 24, Part 2. This time, it's personal. To War 2-4.
War on 24, Part 2, The Warrening. No, it's going to be a blast. Two of the best girls teams in the entire state going head-to-head.
Yep.
The boys game should be fun, too.
Yeah, the only unbeaten team in Class 3A, Silver Lake Lady Eagles, going on the road to take on Rossville, who's 14-2 and ranked third in Class 3A. Silver Lake, of course, ranked number 1. Again, the boys game, you got two teams that are 10-6. Rossville didn't lose in January. It was 7-0 in the month of January. So they have really turned their season around after a 2-4 start. Silver Lake is playing some good ball as well on the boys' side. That was a competitive game first time around. Silver Lake won it by 8. Silver Lake won the girls' game by 13. Those are both at Silver Lake tonight. They're at Rossville. We'll be on the air approximately 5:45 with pregame coverage, the Lewis Toyota High School basketball games of the week.
If I may give a quick take about the Silver Lake girls basketball team, I feel like there's a parallel to be drawn. Head coach Kyle Porter, who is a sensational basketball coach, parallel to be drawn between his 2018 and 2019 Royal Valley teams that made it to the 3A state final and then lost in 2018, but then 1 year later, they won the 3A championship.
Yeah.
All veterans. They had been there before. They'd been battle-tested. This Silver Lake team has incredible talent. The exact same thing. They got to the semifinals of state last year, got it to the third place game, almost all their talent back from a year ago. I see some comparisons there, and I'm really looking forward to those games coming up tonight. Real quick, college basketball coming up this weekend. Let's start with KU versus Baylor. I think it goes without saying, if KU wants to win the Big 12, it has to hold home court pretty much every single game this year. And that includes against the Baylor team that, while they're not as Baylor-y as they have been in recent years past, there's still a lot of talent. And as much as I hate to say it, they're still really well coached. I think this is going to be a blast. Spencer will be there for this game. It's going to be a lot of fun inside the field house this weekend.
I'm definitely excited to get back out to Allen Fieldhouse for this one. And it's going to be, it's a Saturday game. They got college game day tomorrow morning. Mm-hmm. So those college kids are going to be riled up and heading into Allen Fieldhouse.
I think the question is going to be, can KU run Baylor off the three-point line? If they can keep Baylor from getting comfortable from behind the arc, and that's going to be their path to victory, because KU should score on Baylor. Baylor's defense ranked 75th in the country by Ken Palm.
How weird is that?
It's very strange. 2 years running, they've been like that. Mm-hmm. So great offensive team. They can really, really shoot it. Outstanding three-point shooting team. KU's got to run them off the line. If they do that, I think they'll win.
I'm really excited for the center matchup here, Missy versus Dickinson. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Two huge dudes. Missy, going to be a draft pick this year, obviously has tons of natural talent, but that's someone who is new to Allen Fieldhouse against a guy who has played a ton of college basketball in Hunter Dickinson. So that's going to be a lot of fun coming up tomorrow. Look forward to the coverage from Spencer. He will have your instant reaction show as well on the YouTube and Facebook following the game. K-State, this is one of their few big chances they've got to get one of those road wins the signature road wins that we were talking about yesterday on the show when they go on the road to Provo to take on BYU.
Yeah, this would be a huge help for their NCAA tournament hopes. Pat Forty wrote a piece for Sports Illustrated. He was at the Octagon on Monday night. He was in Lawrence the Saturday prior for KU Houston. Then he went down to Norman for a BYU Oklahoma game. So just kind of wrote a piece about, just a season inside the Big 12 and why it's the best basketball league in the country again. Big 12 teams, he had this stat in his piece, are winning 2/3 of their home league games.
Wow.
The national home win rate in league games is just under 60%. So home court really, really matters in this league. So it's going to be hard for K-State to go to a place they've never played. They got to play at altitude, which is pretty new, and play that BYU team. But if they can get it, and they're going to have to run BYU off the three-point line, keep BYU from going crazy from three, and make some shots themselves. But if they could get it, it'd be a massive, massive boost for their NCAA tournament hopes.
Do you know where BYU is in Ken Palm right now?
They're still in top 10, I think.
Just outside. They're 11. And as much of a surprise as UCF has been, and I don't know that UCF's a tournament team, but they've been way better than I thought. I thought BYU was going to be terrible this year. And
Mark
they
Hope
have been
coach.
Great. Yeah, he has been.
And they shoot the bejesus out of the ball from three. They shoot like 33s a game. So, guard the three-point line.
Yeah, no. Should be a couple of really fun games. Of course, that K-State game can be heard right here on 580 WIBW tomorrow. We have to get to a break for the national news. When we come back, what is at stake for individual players and coaches coming up in Super Bowl 58? We'll get to that next on 580 Sports Talk. now, 3 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk, getting started on this red Super Bowl Friday. I'm Brendan Dworzinski. That's Dan Lucero. That is Spencer Dupuis. We are here with you up until just before 6 o'clock today on 580 Sports Talk as we get ready for Super Bowl 58. Chiefs versus 49ers, rematch of Super Bowl 54, the Joe Montana Bowl, if you will, although if we're being honest, outside of Kansas City and the greater Chiefs Kingdom area,
I prefer the Elvis Gerbach Bowl.
Yeah.
Myself.
That could be. Who are other?
Steve Bono Bowl. I think Steve DeBerg qualifies.
AJ Jenkins.
John
Baldwin.
Now we're cooking with gas.
Yeah, this is like its own immaculate grid.
All the squares are either Chiefs or 49ers.
Okay, here we go. Players who played for both the Kansas City Chiefs and San Francisco 49ers. Blaine Gabbert.
Yeah, Charvarius
Ward. Alex Smith. Jet
The
McKinnon.
Alex Smith Bowl. There it is.
Sean Drone. Played multiple seasons with both teams. Chris Conley.
Oh, yeah. He's on the
there right now.
Yeah, he is. He's on the 49ers right this second.
Richie James is a Chief right now.
Yeah.
Okay, there's actually a lot of overlap here. Fans of a certain vintage, do you remember Nate Allen? Played in the 70s.
I do not.
Randy Beisler.
You're going a little too far back for me.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the most obscure names I can find here. Yeah, I'm running out of guys I know, though. Johnny Morton. Remember him? Early 2000s?
The wide receiver?
Yeah.
I remember him as a Lion.
Oh, well, here's one who's not playing. Charles Menahu.
Yeah.
Wow.
There you go.
That's kind of a lot of overlap currently. Also, Kyle Williams. Remember him? Famed for fumbling 2 punts in NFC Championship game against the New York Giants, that would have been.
Yeah.
He played for the Chiefs for less than a cup of coffee. He had like a sip of coffee, and that was about it. So, yeah, there's the Kyle Williams, Alex Smith, Charles Menahu Bowl coming up on Sunday. We still want to get your predictions, 785-272-9429.
We've got some in on the text line, and we welcome those. We got one, Chiefs 33, San Francisco 17. And we've got another one here from the 785, Chiefs 35-18. I think the Chiefs are due for a breakout game. And I don't see the defense giving up too many points.
We had one on YouTube from, I believe it was, let me go find it here. I believe it was Christopher who had Chiefs 24, 49ers 20.
Got another one in from Vance in the YouTube comments, 34-20 Chiefs. Not surprised. It's predominantly Chiefs picks. We all went with the Chiefs in here.
Yeah.
Like for a team that remains the Vegas underdog,
Mm-hmm.
and the line has moved more in the 49ers direction than it has moved in the Chiefs direction since we knew the matchup 2 Sundays ago. The online football cognoscenti, the smart guys, the talking heads, the network talking heads, I don't know if overwhelmingly is right, but decidedly pro Chiefs when it comes to picking this game.
It is interesting. The spread is confusing to me. I think the Chiefs are winning. I'm not thinking about the wise guys here. I just think the Chiefs are the better, more focused team. We've got another one here from YouTube. Jason says he's got the Chiefs 31-20 over the 49ers. It is interesting to me why it continues to move toward San Francisco. Clayton on YouTube, he's going with Scorigami. He's got Chiefs 32-19.
Love that. You can bet on whether or not there will be Scorigami in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, isn't it awesome?
I did see that.
I need to go get the odds. We'll do our props contest coming up in the 4 o'clock hour when we will all get 100 fantasy dollars to spend
100 gummy bears.
However you would like to spend them, you can spend them on Super Bowl props. I have to find the odds for getting an octopus. You know what an octopus is?
No.
For eight tentacles, 8 points.
and
It's when you
legs?
score the same guy scores the touchdown and 2-point conversion.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's called an octopus. So I've got to find out what the odds are for one of those this year. By the way, NFL news and notes here. If you were upset that the NFL put a playoff game on Peacock this year, I have great news for you. Peacock is not doing a playoff game next year. The playoff Peacock game, it is gone. It is out of here. Here's the catch. That game is now on Amazon Prime.
When did that come out?
From the Wall Street Journal approximately 17 minutes ago.
There we go. That's why I haven't heard about it.
It is brand new information over at the Wall Street Journal. So yeah, more people have Prime than have Peacock. So there you go.
That's true.
Who doesn't have Prime? Do you have Prime?
I don't personally have Prime, but people.
Do you have someone's login for
people
Prime?
within my life have Prime.
There you go. According to the Wall Street Journal, by the way, the subscription analytics firm called Antenna estimated that 2.8 million people signed up for Peacock just to watch the NFL playoff game, which is the largest single biggest subscriber acquisition ever measured for any of those over-the-top services. And now it's going to Amazon starting next year. So there's a little fun NFL note there for you.
And maybe this serves as your reminder if you have yet to cancel Peacock. You can go
cancel Peacock.
Yeah, you can go do that now if you want.
If you're not getting down with, the Real Housewives of Miami or Poker Face,
you should definitely watch Poker Face. I will evangelize for Natasha Lyonne in that show until I am blue in the face. Watch Poker Face, then cancel Peacock.
We are watching The Traitors on Peacock right now. It's got a bunch of reality stars, and it's kind of like a Survivor Big Brother mix kind of thing. And it's in Scotland. It's actually very entertaining. Deontay Wilder was on it for some reason, but he took himself off the show. He was like, this is too hard on me, and he quit.
Okay.
Yes.
Not show related of those shows.
Mm-hmm.
But back to what we discussed the other day. I don't know if you were here, if it was Dan and I during the headlines. The new streaming. I think you were here.
Yeah.
The new streaming thing. Apparently, the leagues are not happy about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the leagues are not happy about it. I read something earlier on Twitter.
Interesting.
I'll have to try to find that article and throw it in the headlines.
I had seen something about how NFL might try to package Red Zone and NFL Network with it. But yeah, interesting. Yeah, I'd be curious to find out why they were opposed to it, if that hurts their rights fees or something like that. Again, text line number 785-272-9429, and of course the YouTube comment section as well, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube or WIBW News on Facebook. The Chiefs and 49ers this weekend. The other day, we did the who's got the most to gain, who's got the most to lose topic. But I think we can take that down even another more granular level here. What is at stake for some or many of the individuals in this game? And okay, the obvious one, another ring, another championship, another asterisk on your Pro Football Reference page.
Or a ring.
Or a ring. Yeah, there are some obvious ones here. Like, honestly, 100% honest here, I do not think the legacy of Travis Kelce changes one way or another with this game. He's a tight end with 2 Super Bowl rings, 4 first-team All-Pros, and he's going to own every tight end receiving record by the time it's all said and done.
And the most interesting off-the-field romantic life since Joe Namath.
Yeah, I don't think that in terms of looking back on the legacy of Travis Kelce, this game changes anything, to be honest with you.
No.
Mahomes, I think, is very straightforward. It comes down to we, the public, judge quarterbacks based on moments and, more importantly, based on Super Bowl rings. If you have 3, you are in rarefied air. 2 alone is incredible. If you get to 3, you are in rarefied air. You are talking about Aikman, Bradshaw, Montana, Brady.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the list.
That's the group you're talking about. And you could throw Mahomes into that mix if he gets the win. So that, I think, is very straightforward. I think it's the same for Andy Reid, a little more conceptual for him. But if you're trying to argue, hey, he might be the greatest coach to ever do it, winning another Super Bowl would certainly help going for that claim. Some of the other more intriguing cases, though, and Spencer found this piece from over at The Athletic today about Chris Jones, written by our that's not what I meant to say, but that's how it came out.
That's why he's the writer and you're the sports talking guy.
That's why I talk for a living. Nate Taylor, friend of the program, wrote this, though, about the legacy of Chris Jones and what this means and what if it is his final game with the Chiefs. And it's good reading. All of Nate's stuff is really well put together and really well written. Who are some of the more intriguing cases, the more interesting cases you think in terms of guys who have something staked to this game?
Well, there's a bag to be chased in the offseason for Chris Jones and for L'Jarius Sneed, and to a lesser extent, a guy like a Drew Tranquil. There is an opportunity to go into free agency with another ring or a ring on your resume and maybe a big game performance on your resume. And that makes the price of the brick go up. And I'm sure that Chris Jones is mindful of this. We have known this all season long. We saw it in stark, not so funny relief when he sat out week 1. We saw it in comic relief when he celebrated getting that sack and his big bonus in week 18. We know money motivates Chris Jones.
Yep.
Chris Jones is motivated by a bag, by a check, by that green, that cake, that guap, that paper, whatever you want to call it. That motivates Chris Jones. So, opportunity to not just win another championship, but to go into free agency potentially with that as another line on your resume to say, hey, look, I might be rounding the corner into my 30s, but I'm only getting better. Did you see what I did to Brock Purdy in the Super Bowl? Did you see how much I meant to the defense that won a Super Bowl championship? Run me my $30 million a year. I think this game means a lot to Chris Jones. And we kind of talked about this when we had the broader discussion about it earlier, where Chris Jones all of a sudden has a very real Hall of Fame case.
Sure.
If he has 3 rings to go with 2 first-team All-Pros and potentially 100 career sacks from an interior defensive line position. So he's got a lot riding on this. And L'Jarius Sneed, similarly, is going into free agency. And, yeah, if he goes into free agency saying, did you see what I meant to that team and that defense just won the Super Bowl? Do you see how important I was to them? Do you see how important I was to the secondary, which has become the defining unit of this Chiefs defense? Like, we think about great defenses, right? They all have a defining unit. For the Steel Curtain, it was probably their linebackers, Jack Lambert and Jack Ham. I mean, you could argue great defensive line, obviously Mean Joe Green, L.C. Greenwood, those guys. But like you think of the Steel Curtain, you think of the linebackers. You think of Lambert, you think of Ham. The Vikings defenses in the 70s, you think of the Purple People Eaters up front. You Carl Eller and Alan Page and those guys.
Yeah.
When you think about the Ravens defense of the 2000s, again, you probably think about the linebackers. You think about Ray Lewis. You think about Peter Boulware. When you think about the Seahawks in the mid-2010s, the Legion of Boom, you think about the secondary. With the Broncos, you think about their pass rush. You think about Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware. Even though the guys on the back end talked a lot, named themselves the no-fly zone, you still think, I think, first about the 2 guys who were coming off the edge who are both going to be in the Hall of Fame one day, in Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware. This Chiefs defense, which if they are as good as I expect them to be on Sunday, and they come to define, as much as Patrick Mahomes has come to define this era of Chiefs football, it might be the Chiefs defense that defines this year of Chiefs football. We think about their defense, we think about the secondary first. I think they're the defining unit on this football team. And if L'Jarius Sneed is the defining player from that defining unit, somebody's going to pay a premium for that, whether it's the Chiefs or somebody else. So I think about Jones and Sneed having significant financial motivation, potentially, even if they never say it out loud. Jones more likely than Sneed. Even if they never say it out loud, I think there's a lot of that riding on the line for them in this game.
Yeah, I would agree wholeheartedly with that. The Jones situation, we're going to get to this a little bit later on in headlines today. There was a report from Ian Rappaport about the future for Chris Jones and the future for L'Jarius Sneed in Kansas City. And I think if you really dive into what he had to say, it is very clear that one of those guys is more likely to come back than the other one. So we'll get to that in headlines today. But I think the future for Chris Jones is especially fascinating. Someone is going to pay him a bunch of money next year. I am convinced. And I, in my heart of hearts, believe it is going to be the Chicago Bears. I think Ryan Poles is going to open up the checkbook and pay him a ton of money to come in and play defensive line for Chicago next year. So he's obviously an interesting case. I think one of the other interesting ones here is Isaiah Pacheco. We talked all year, all regular season, about how well he was playing and how much we wanted him to get the ball more often. How many times did we talk to Matt Derrick about that over the course of the year? And Matt's going to join us coming up in just a little bit for our Chiefs Insider. Talk to him about how well Pacheco is playing. And I know they're not going to run a ton, but why not give him a few more touches a game? Use him in the screen game, do a couple other things with him in that regard. Well, what has he come out and done in the postseason so far other than be absolutely fantastic for this Chiefs team? And I'm pulling up his numbers from the postseason right now. Against Miami, 24 carries, 89 yards, touchdown. Against Buffalo, 15 carries, 97 yards, touchdown. Against Baltimore, not nearly as efficient. 24 carries, just 68 yards and a touchdown. Also had 4 catches in the game. But he has been such a useful weapon and so effective. And after an off season, an early part of this NFL season, when so much of the league-wide narrative was about running backs and their value, and should you pay them? Should you give them long-term contracts? Should you draft them and dump them? Are they actually important? Austin Eckler going all the way to the, freaking out pretty much that, hey, we deserve more. I deserve more. And then stinking and really like one running back on a real contract all year around the NFL, having a great, healthy season, that being Christian McCaffrey. If we see Isaiah Pacheco go off in a Super Bowl, and you can point to the Chiefs win, okay? And you can say, wow, Pacheco was great against Miami. He was great against Buffalo. He did what he needed to do against Baltimore, and he had another big game in the Super Bowl against one of the better defenses in the NFL. Maybe there is something to saying you do need a good running back, whether it's a veteran you pay or a guy in his rookie contract, but maybe they just don't carry a full load or, a plus load until the playoffs. Maybe that becomes something that's a little more in vogue. Green Bay did that this year with Aaron Jones. The Chiefs have apparently done it so far with Isaiah Pacheco. He came into the postseason with, I think, only 2 games in his career with over 20 carries. He's got 2 in the last 3 games. So maybe that's something that is tied into this game as well. Any other Chiefs, Spencer? Obviously, Chris Jones, since you brought that piece from Nate Taylor to the table. Any other Chiefs you think have kind of an interesting narrative, like kind of their interesting choose-your-own-adventure outcome from this game?
I think MVS.
Okay.
Fascinating.
That is well, because he's probably getting cut.
That's what I'm saying. But if he can have a good game in the Super Bowl, what do they do?
He goes into the offseason as playoff MVS.
Yeah.
And that
totally changes the narrative from where we were going into the playoffs versus the end of the actual season.
Interesting. That I didn't even think of that name. But yeah, I mean, even if the Chiefs are going, and I do think no matter how well he plays in the Super Bowl, I do think the Chiefs will move on and just try to get younger. But for his own future, and maybe
a decent bag more than he probably is now.
Probably so.
If he scores a touchdown and that's 75 to 100 yards, I mean, that could change what teams think about him.
That's an interesting one. I like that one a lot. As for San Francisco, I think you can probably apply that Pacheco thought to Christian McCaffrey. But again, he's probably a unique case because he is the undisputed best running back in the NFL right now.
Yeah, already on a Canton track. The ring only accelerates that. But yeah, he's the man. He's the one guy. Like every GM in the league would say, we don't love the idea of paying a running back, but if that's the running back, that's who you pay.
I mean, is there anyone? Oh, go ahead.
I had one for the 49ers, and I think I've touched on this during the show at some point. A guy that's probably going to make the Hall of Fame, but to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, George Kittle, if he can get a ring.
Yeah, big deal for him. I think for the 49ers, it's an interesting case because they're the team that hasn't won it, which is crazy to talk about the San Francisco 49ers as the team that is ring hunting. Like, if you know anything about the history of the last 50 years of the NFL, that's kind of crazy to talk about.
What they were when I was a kid, as the old guy in the club now, like what they represented in the 80s, what they represent even in the 90s, even though they only won 1 ring in the 90s, they were still a standard-bearing franchise in the league. It's been 29 years since Steve Young threw those 6 touchdown passes to beat the Chargers in that Super Bowl. 29 years is a long time for a Tiffany franchise in the NFL to not have won a championship. So, yeah, winning one would validate the entire era. The person with the most on the line in this game for either team, legacy wise, it's Kyle Shanahan. I don't think there's any question. Like, more so than anybody on the Chiefs, this is the defining Kyle Shanahan game. Not to borrow too liberally. Again, I think the Athletic Football Show is a really, really good podcast, and you should make it part of your podcast listening if you're looking for a good football podcast. The way those guys put it on the show, like, who is Kyle Shanahan? Is he Don Coryell or is he Bill Walsh? Like, is he the offensive innovator, genius, Hall of Famer that you only know if you're a real diehard football person? Or is he the person that wins the championship that then everybody knows, becomes a household name, and the legacy is etched in a different shade if he's able to win a ring? Because there's no doubt, no denying he's maybe the best offensive mind of his generation, but don't mean a thing if he doesn't have that ring, right? And if he doesn't get one, then he's starts to further confirm our priors about him, that he's a guy who comes up small in the big moment, that his stuff doesn't work in the biggest of games. He falls short. And that's not entirely fair, because he has had the lesser quarterback in every game he's ever been the head coach of. And he, to be fair to Matt Ryan did win the MVP that Super Bowl year, but when the matchup is Matt Ryan and Tom Brady, historically, like, you have the lesser quarterback.
Yeah.
In that big game matchup. He has always gone into, like, Kyle Shanahan with Patrick Mahomes would break brains. You would see things you could not believe. So it's not entirely fair to Shanahan, but it's the nature of the business. That's how we judge quarterbacks. It's also how we judge coaches. And speaking of judging quarterbacks, man, if Brock Purdy gets this done on Sunday, and Brock Purdy is a Super Bowl champion quarterback, it's going to be so annoying to talk about Brock Purdy. Like, the Brock Purdy discourse is going to become unbearable. Just utterly unbearable. The worst takes you've ever heard in your life.
Yeah, that's correct. That is 100% correct. I mean, it already is unbearable if we're being completely honest. But yeah, I mean, every normie, minimally thought out take is going to only be exacerbated by whatever happens. And frankly, whatever happens, it's going to be annoying. But at least you can drown out some of the "we were right, Brock Purdy stinks" crowd more than you'd be able to drown out the "we told you he was an elite quarterback" crowd. It's going to get ugly. I'm just going to tell you that right now. We will get to our Super Bowl prop bet contest coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. A little bit later on this hour, Matt Derrick will join us. He dropped a Jake LeBon level pun in our text thread today, by the way. I said, "Hey, Matt, you good to go for 335? And he says, "Oh, yeah, you bet." Ha! Las Vegas. You bet.
Love Matt.
He's the absolute best. Matt Derrick will join us in a little bit. First, we've got a quick round of Change My Mind. Or no, pardon me, we already played Change My Mind. We've got to do On Second Thought. Well, there's a big blunder for me. That can come up next. That's coming up here on 580 Sports Talk. On second thought, where we offer a mea culpa for a very rare bad take. Dan, what's your on second thought this week?
My on second thought, I predicted at the beginning of the season that the Chiefs would go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. I'm very close to have nailed that, hit that right on the head. I didn't think the 49ers were going to get here. Like, you go all the way back to August, start of September, before the season began. I was very not sold on Brock Purdy and thought that this team would take a step back and wondered if they'd even make the play. I'm not even convinced I picked them to make the playoffs. We didn't go back to check all the way, but I was very skeptical about these San Francisco 49ers. And then they were the best team in the NFC all year long. And here they are in a Super Bowl. And with the collection of offensive talent they have, with as effectively as, it still feels weird to say that Brock Purdy's good, but he's obviously not bad. And he's a very effective player. And with as effective as he has proven to be now over the course of a full season, they would be a worthy Super Bowl champion if they knock off Mahomes, Reed, and the Chiefs on Sunday. So my bad on that. I misevaluated the 49ers. Some of that probably me being a hater, if we're being honest about it. But on second thought, 49ers actually good.
Spencer, what's your on second thought?
I believe this was on Monday's show. We were talking, I think it was Monday. What was going on Monday night down in over in Manhattan? I'm pretty sure I said KU would roll over K-State.
KU did not roll.
There was no rolling.
No.
Besides rolling on the ground, being mad at themselves.
Yeah, that was tough. That was that was not very pleasant.
But I had it as a lock that KU was going to win that game.
Hey, I felt the same way before last weekend when I said K-State was going to beat Oklahoma State.
Spencer Dupuis, bet your baby on it. Blood bank lock of the century of the week.
My on second thought, it was Chiefs related. I said for pretty much the entire second half of the season, the Chiefs were not going to be able to fix their offensive problems. That guys are going to have drop problems, that you got to play dudes who you're just stuck playing guys who aren't good enough to win you a Super Bowl, etc. But while that's still technically true, like MVS still has a drops problem, Sky Moore is still not good, etc. The Chiefs have found an answer. Just only throw it to three guys. Just only give it to the same guys over and over. So while they didn't fix it the way I assumed they would try to fix it, they have come up with a solution, and it's gotten them back in the Super Bowl for the fourth time in 5 years. And we are going to talk about Super Bowl 58 on the other side of this timeout when we are joined by the absolute best in the business when it comes to covering the Chiefs, Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. He's on with us next here on 580 Sports Talk. We will be joined in just a few moments by Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. He'll join us for our Chiefs Insider coming up here momentarily. Brendan, Dan, and Spencer with you on 580 Sports Talk. Of course, you can find Matt's work at ChiefsDigest.com and on Twitter at Matt Derrick. Chiefs versus 49ers on Sunday, 5:30 scheduled kickoff time. That's really like 5:40 though, isn't it? Isn't it usually 5? Because 5:30 is when they get everybody like ready to go on the field. But I think that's when they start the anthem.
Yeah, something like that.
And then, I don't know, are they going to have The
Kicks a
Rock
little
come out
later.
again and do something?
Do
I
a
don't know.
whole thing? Yeah, I don't know.
That was so bizarre when he did that a couple years ago.
Extremely weird.
You will be able to hear the radio broadcast, the national radio broadcast of Super Bowl 58 right here on 580 WIBW. We do not have the rights to air the home broadcast, so we will not get to hear Mitch's play-by-play. However, we will have part of the Chiefs pregame show. 3 until 4 o'clock, we will have the Chiefs Radio Network pregame show. 4 until 5:30, it'll be the Westwood One pregame show. And then we will have the full Westwood One broadcast with Kevin Harlan and Kurt Warner from kickoff until the end of the game. So if you're not going to get the voice of the Chiefs, you might as well get the former voice of the Chiefs. That's a pretty nice consolation.
Yeah, generally speaking, he's the best. I think that from a national perspective, there's nobody better at radio broadcast of a football game than Kevin Harlan. He's the master.
Yeah, no, that's true. He's the best at everything he does, though, because he's the best national. And I know Mike Breen is great. I think Kevin Harlan's the best NBA voice too.
Yeah, Harlan had Nuggets Lakers last night, which I was watching on TNT, and he was great as he always was. He had a crack too. Like, he's sneaky hilarious.
He's hysterical.
Not even sneaky hilarious. Like, everybody knows how funny he is. And he had a line. They were the Goodyear blimp was flying over like Crypto Arena or whatever they call it there in Los Angeles. And he said something about one of the saddest days of my life is when I got kicked out of blimp school.
That's really funny. He does rep KU too, which I always appreciate.
Yes, he's a proud Jayhawk, no doubt about it.
We are going to grab Matt Derrick on the line right now, Chiefs beat writer for ChiefsDigest.com. You can find him on Twitter at Matt Derrick. Matt, do you have us?
I do have you.
Awesome. Having minor
radio.
Yeah, hey, it'd be like that sometimes. But we got Matt Derrick on the line. Go find him on Twitter at Matt Derrick. Go check him out at ChiefsDigest.com as well. How has Vegas been, Matt?
It hasn't been too bad. Once the rain moved out, it's still a little chilly for the desert for my taste, but we'll live with it. But I haven't really gotten to go out and live the whole Vegas life yet. Going out to the Lake Las Vegas for the team availabilities at the Chiefs Hotel is about the most I've gotten out so far. But it's been interesting. There's no doubt, Dave. Vegas does the Super Bowl like nobody else would.
All right, so when you finally get a chance to hit the Strip or to hit Fremont Street, what table are you looking for first?
I mean, I still need to do some touristy things. So I do need to. I have seen the Sphere from a distance, but I still need to go see that. But I am trying my best to avoid all sorts of machines and tables that I possibly can, because I feel like if I ended up at a poker table, I might not leave until kickoff.
Is poker your game then?
Poker's my game.
Oh, that's good to know. See, I can't play poker because I have the worst poker face on earth. I can't. I can't. It is on my face immediately if I play really any card game. It doesn't matter as much in blackjack, but yeah, it's brutal.
Well, I'm savvy enough to know which games to go into and which ones to avoid, because, if you're a budget player like myself, you don't need to end up at one of the tables where there's an unlimited buy. So even if it's a $1-2 table, you might have somebody sitting down with a $3,000 bankroll next to you. You can't have that. So I know at least to stick to the tables that only have a $300 like limit buy-in. That's where you should go if you're just a small stakes player like myself.
Real quick, I heard I was listening to a show out of Chicago the other day. Apparently, the lowest buy-in you can find anywhere on the Strip this week has been $100. Just outrageous.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's been stories here about how that even the hotels is going to be the highest rate for any Vegas event ever, including Formula One, which they thought was originally going to be the record
Wow.
setter for a while. So no, it's been crazy. And even I went out to have lunch today, and my waiter was like talking about the fact that the last couple of days it's been really crazy, and they're expecting it to get worse over the next few days. So this town, at least they can relatively handle it. Although I still think that the phone problems we're having is taxing the Vegas world, because there've been multiple people who've tried to call me and can't get through, but at least I can call in.
At least I'm not the only one.
Yeah, that's true.
I was thinking something was wrong with our phone system for a second.
This is the third time it's happened to me today. So
Wow.
I think we're overtaxing the towers here.
Well, we are glad to have Matt Derrick on the line from ChiefsDigest.com. All right, Matt, we were just talking about this a little bit earlier this hour. And I feel like for some players, the thing, the legacy, the what's at stake kind of things are pretty straightforward. Like for Patrick Mahomes, we judge quarterbacks based on wins. We judge them based on rings. A third ring puts him in rarefied air. For Andy Reid, if you want to say he's maybe the greatest of all time, winning another Super Bowl is obviously going to help in that argument. But who do you think are some of the players, or at least one of the players with the most interesting kind of path here for what is at stake in Super Bowl 58?
I mean, I think there's quite a few. I mean, because there's a handful of players, Chris Jones amongst them, who could also get their third rings. And while Mahomes and Kelsey, you would say, are either already have or well on their way to Hall of Fame resumes, I don't know if you necessarily say that about Chris Jones, but if he's got a third ring, I don't know if you're going to keep him out, especially since he's got a few more years to put some more stats up and everything. So, and there's a few other players that they get their second or third ring. Maybe they too find their way. I mean, Harrison Butker could be one of those guys. As accurate as a kicker he has been, he puts in 10 more years in the league, as good as he's been. He could be a Hall of Famer. So, and remember, I mean, look back to any of these, dynasty type teams. If you want to use the D word, as Andy called it the other day, you get 3 or 4 rings. A lot of guys get legacies from that, and so I think that's why it's important to a lot of guys, even who might be early in their careers. It may not seem like a big deal now, but hey, Nick Bolton puts in 10 more years in the league, and suddenly he's got 2 or 3 rings on that resume too. I mean, we've seen it. Look at how many guys from the Chiefs teams in the 60s that only won 1 Super Bowl, but made 2 of them and made it into the Hall of Fame. I think that's the kind of thing that happens. I mean, there's plenty of Steelers and 49ers. There's going to be and continue to be a lot of Patriots. You win like that, and the legacies have long legs.
Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com joins us from Las Vegas, site of Super Bowl 58 here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Matt is our Chiefs insider here on 580 Sports Talk. Joins us at this time every Friday on the show. You can check out his work at ChiefsDigest.com. Find him on Twitter at Matt Derrick. Matt, what are you most certain will happen in this game? What is the one particular aspect of this matchup, offense versus defense, unit versus unit, whatever you'd like? What are you most certain will happen one way or another? Could be something that benefits the Chiefs, could be something that benefits 49ers. What are you most certain will happen in Super Bowl 58?
Wow, that's a really good one. I mean, as we're kind of going through it, I was started thinking, I mean, is there anything I can 100% bank on? And frankly, the only thing that's popping into my mind that I can is that Patrick Mahomes is going to be an important player in this game. I mean, we've never seen Patrick give away a game in a situation like this. I mean, he has always risen to the occasion. Even in 54, when he struggled early, he finished strong and wins MVP. Hey, his numbers weren't necessarily spectacular in 57, but once again, he played at the clutch moments, gets MVP. I mean, that's the one thing I can take to the bank, is that Patrick Mahomes is not going to be the reason the Chiefs lose. He is more likely than not going to be. He's going to be the reason why the Chiefs win. I can't say it's 100% he's going to be the MVP, but Chiefs win, pretty good chance. But that's the one guy that I know, hey, there's not going to be any problem. That guy, when this light is on, even 55, I can't blame any of those problems on him, because it was the offensive line up front that really let him down. He played a spectacular game, I think, in that one.
What aspect of this matchup do you think is most favorable to the Chiefs?
I mean, to me, I think it's if they can get, Brock Purdy into third down situations, especially just third and long, anything over 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5. I think they're going to win those. I don't think that the 49ers offensive line can stand up to the pressure that Steve Spagnuolo and Joel Cohen are going to bring. I think that the blitz packages and the pressure, even the simulated pressures that Steve Spagnuolo can bring, are going to be some things that Brock Purdy's never seen. That I feel pretty comfortable with. I mean, it's, to me, the key for the Chiefs is getting the 49ers in those situations. You got to win on first and second down. But I'm confident that once they do, I think this team can make some pretty big plays. I think if they can get the 49ers in third and really strong deficit situations, I think they can turn over this team. I think they can turn over Brock Purdy. I think they can come up with some sacks, strip fumbles, you name it. I mean, I think that's what the Chiefs are going to be salivating for on Sunday, is if they can get Purdy at some of those spots and attack that offensive line, especially the weaker side on the right side. I think there's plenty of opportunities for this defense to make some big plays.
Our Chiefs insider, Matt Derrick, is a guest here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. And Matt, got some kind of injury news cycling at the receiver position. Obviously, the questions were last week about Kadarius Toney, but Sky Moore activated off the IR. I believe they said they're going to have 6 up. How do you see that receiver rotation, or not rotation necessarily, but the 6 guys being up? How do you see that playing out with Sky Moore back in the fold on the active roster?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, especially because you think about it, in both, Sky and Kadarius, the last time that both of them played was that, game against the New England Patriots in like week 15. So you're talking about more than 6 weeks for both those guys being out. And I think that's tough. I mean, especially we saw Kadarius trying to play in week 1 after a long layoff. And to me, the idea of just coming in cold, I mean, even though they both have had some time to practice, but coming in cold without any game action in a freaking Super Bowl after that kind of layoff, I think it's a tough challenge. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if both of them were inactive. I mean, the Chiefs, remember, they've got 8 receivers now on the active roster with Justin Ross joining everybody else too. So those guys give them some depth. And hey, there's some injury questions. I mean, I'm not worried about Rashee Rice, even though he got stepped on in practice yesterday, and now he's kind of, got both ankles being a problem. But according to the pool report from Peter King, he wasn't limping at the end of practice, and Andy Reid said that he's going to be okay. So I don't think there's any real worries there. But, Richie James has been having a foot issue. I mean, those guys all look ready to go. But when you get down to it, if you're the Chiefs, you certainly have the insurance and the depth that, hey, if somebody can't go, you've got them ready. Do you bring up Sky Moore, and do you sit him McCole Hardman? I just don't see it. I mean, I would think that the Chiefs are going to go with the 6 that they've been going with. I think there's a possibility, obviously, that Justin Ross could be inactive, and maybe they do bring back Sky in that role, or maybe Kadarius if they got a handful of things for him. But I don't think it's absolutely necessary that they have to have it. I mean, and certainly if you're using Kadarius, I mean, I think you're only using him in specific situations and a handful of snaps. I mean, he's not going to be an every down receiver, and certainly not somebody that you're going to put in some tough situations like going over the middle. Probably just exclusively jet sweeps and screens and maybe some deep balls.
And then staying kind of with the offensive injury news, what do you think about Joe Thuney's prospect to play? And then Derrick McKinnon, kind of a surprise being pushed to being able to practice again, kind of some optimism at the beginning of the week. And now as the week kind of ends, there's not a lot of optimism. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what it feels like. Thuney seems like it was going to be a long shot all the way. And, and we'll see here when the practice report comes out for today what he was. But the vibe I've been getting since Monday night, really, when I talked to Dr. Nick and Allegretti, and he didn't give anything away, but to me, I felt like he had the vibe of a guy who knew he was starting on Sunday, and even everything we've heard from the coaches and players, I get that same vibe. So I think Allegretti is going to play. Thuney, the issue is just he have the strength that he normally has in that arm, and it doesn't appear that he will. So I think he's going to definitely be down. Once again, Chiefs have depth there. Remember, Allegretti's got 4 playoff starts under his belt now, and he's already started in a Super Bowl. He was starter in Super Bowl 55. So wouldn't have a lot of concerns there for him. McKinnon's an interesting one because, he's still just barely 4 weeks away from that core muscle surgery. So I don't know. I mean, it certainly seems like the Chiefs were just kind of getting him active to kind of do him a favor heading into the off season, and probably doing themselves a favor to let him run some Christian McCaffrey scout team looks. But it certainly seems like it would be a long shot to see him on Super Bowl. But the fact that he's been practicing this week at least leaves the door open.
Finishing things up with Matt Derrick from ChiefsDigest.com. It's our Chiefs insider here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt joining us via the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. Go check his great work out covering the Chiefs at ChiefsDigest.com and the Chiefs Digest YouTube channel, we should add as well. Matt, I've been really banging the drum over the last couple of days that the Chiefs might find their most offensive success by going into heavier personnel sets because the 49ers, they don't adjust to that. They run a lot of their base stuff, or maybe they drop into their nickel stuff, but they don't change their personnel groupings a whole lot, even when opposing offenses go heavy. Do you think that's something the Chiefs might try to do? Maybe a little bit more Blake Bell, a little bit more Noah Gray to try to get those 49ers defenders off balance?
I think you're absolutely right. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And that has, honestly, I mean, it's been one of the mainstays of the Chiefs in this playoff run. I mean, they've been going to a lot more, it seems like 12 and 13 personnel with multiple tight ends out there consistently the last couple of games. And it's working for them. There's no doubt about that. The one thing, it really hasn't done is necessarily resulted in a bunch more production for the tight ends. Noah Gray, Blake Bell, kind of have still been their guys, but who they are, we haven't seen them break out. But I think it has made things a little easier for Kelsey. I think having those guys out there that the teams have to just pay a little bit more attention to. I think it does disrupt some of the zones that you're playing and how you shade things over. And you're right. I mean, a team like the 49ers that kind of does what they do and maybe doesn't adjust. But I was talking to my guy, Nick Jacobs, that I host 41 at the Mike podcast with, and he made a great point off something that he heard that Matt Nagy said this week in one of the discussions, which was that, normally in a normal week, the Chiefs would only have time to say maybe simulate their game plan against maybe the top two coverages that a team's going to show against them. And with this week, these 2 weeks with the bye week, they have so much time available to them that they can simulate it and practice it against the scout team using every single coverage that the 49ers use. So that, to me, is that time and the way they're using it is just a tremendous advantage. And like you said, I mean, I think that's something that's Andy Reid's bread and butter, multiple tight ends. So I think he's gonna go to it.
All right, Matt, we've got just about 30 seconds here. Let's get your score prediction and your favorite prop for the game.
I should probably go with one of the 89 Taylor Swift props, but I'm always a national anthem guy. And last time I think I saw the number, I thought it was really low, I think, for Reba. So depending on what the number finally is, I mean, that's the one I think I would probably hammer it. I mean, depending on what it is, but that's always a good one, national anthem. Chiefs, I think they're gonna pull this off. I really do. I think the defense is going to come up big. I'm going Kansas City 23, 49ers 10.
Matt, you are the absolute best. Go check out Matt Derrick's work at ChiefsDigest.com. Matt, enjoy the game, enjoy Vegas, and hopefully we're talking about a championship coming up next week.
Sounds like a great plan. President. Take care, everybody.
That is the great Matt Derrick joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. Halfway home on the show, we're back after the news. we are halfway home on this Red Friday, Super Bowl Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Brendan Dworzinski, Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis, all here with you today. Thank you for listening, either on 580 AM, 104.9 FM, online at 580WIBW.com.
You guys don't all have to wave at the camera. I do it because I'm a dope. I don't know why you guys are doing it.
I don't know. It's nice. People
Go say hi to the audience.
Yeah, folks may still be getting used to the new camera setup.
Yeah.
Instead of the 3 columns with every pore on our noses showing, now we have the full studio view.
Every bump on my nose.
And, of course, on YouTube as well.
It was helpful, though. There were a couple of times I caught myself on the close-in cameras like, yeah, I better get the ear and nose hair trimmer out tonight before I go to bed.
I look like crap.
I got to take care of some business.
We will get to our annual Super Bowl prop bet competition coming up here in just a moment. We've got today's What Is Wrong With You. And Spencer was in the lab this week. We didn't get to it yesterday. We had to cut out either or over under yesterday. But we've got some Travis Kelce over under action for the Super Bowl we're going to get to a little bit later on this hour. Very excited for this. I've had this hyped up quite a bit. So not that I'm going to be incredibly disappointed if it doesn't meet my lofty standards, but I will be incredibly disappointed.
I don't know. Most of the either or, under, over, I kind of just like make up and be like, oh, what are the odds? Like just place my own odds and do all this stuff. But this was the Super Bowl. So I had to do some digging, do some research. And I had some time yesterday because I got everything done early. And then I had nothing to do because you guys had left to go to Prairie Band. And so I was just sitting here and I was like, you know what? I need, like, while I was finishing up my either or, I had something else planned. And then I had to go. I was like, I got time. Let me go figure this out.
Do a little research.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. That's all coming up here in this 4 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk. Don't forget that coming up tonight, right here on 580 WIBW, we've got our Lewis Toyota High School basketball games of the week. Doubleheader action. War on 24. Rossville hosting Silver Lake.
Yeah, we're really excited for these games. It's always good. Like Rossville, Silver Lake, it doesn't need to be anything more than that. But obviously, there are massive stakes in the girls' game. It's number 1 Silver Lake at number 3 Rossville. Silver Lake hasn't lost yet. Rossville coming off a loss. They had a 9-game winning streak snapped at Osage City in overtime on Tuesday night. So they're going to be angry. They're going to be the hunters. And Silver Lake spent the whole year being the hunted. They were the preseason number 1. They're still number 1 in Class 3A. So obviously, great stakes. That's a spicy matchup. It's going to be a lot of fun for that game. And then the boys' game will be real good. 2 programs trying to really hit their strides for sub-state. They got a tough sub-state. Beloit, number 1 in Class 3A, and number 1 in that sub-state. So you better be playing your best basketball. And you would like to avoid being the 4 or the 5 seed, because then you would have to play Beloit in the semifinal. And I don't think you want those problems. You'd like to get Beloit in the championship game if you could. And so you want to try and move up the standings. That's only possible if you can get a win here tonight for both of those teams. So yeah, lots on the line, lots to play for, and the best rivalry.
All right, let's get to them. Our Super Bowl prop bet competition for this year. Now, normally our book of record over the course of the NFL season has been FanDuel. When applicable, we've been able to use some lines from our good pals up at Prairie Band Sportsbook and Casino. For the prop bets for the Super Bowl, it is harder to find the goofy ones, the true Super Bowl minutia props, the Gatorade color, the coin toss, stuff like that, harder to find in Kansas, if not outright unavailable in Kansas. But there are ways to find odds on those props. So any prop bet, whether it is off the field stuff, the goofy nonsense, an actual game prop itself, it is all on the table here. We all have 100 fake dollars. I'm not giving you guys cash. I apologize.
Damn, man.
Yeah. Blame America East Thursday yesterday. Oh, I'm sure. You would have had to use it for this purpose, though. This is like Disney dollars. Yeah. Like, you're getting the dollars, but you can only spend it on Disney merchandise. That's essentially what we're doing here. You can spend them any way you want. If you want to make one $100 parlay, 14 legs to win more money than you would ever know what to do with, you are welcome to do that. I went with the very traditional 10 bets for $10 each. Lots of different ways you can approach this. Spencer, we will have you go with your first prop first.
My first prop is not really, it's a made-up prop. I haven't seen it anywhere else. But I'm putting the average of how many times they're going to show Taylor Swift. Can I do that as a prop or no?
I will find this for you. I'm sure we will be able to find this.
I was just going to make my own and say it's going to be over the 5.5 times.
Already breaking the rules of our game right off rip.
All right, so let me see if I can find the odds here. The Athletic had a whole post about this, but they also just came up with their own odds. What are we going to put for? What should we set the odds at for that one? What did you set the odds at?
I set it at 5.5.
5.5. I feel like that's fair enough.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
All right, we'll put it at 5.5. That's fine. I will allow. All right, Dan, your first one.
All right. I am going to put, in honor of Andy Reid's great State Farm commercial and a little bit of a ripoff of the No Laying Up golf podcast I like to listen to from time to time. Yeah, that's how old I am. I'm listening to the golf podcast years old. I'm going to refer to my bets as nuggies. I've got some nuggies to put on the game. And I'm putting a 25 nuggies on the Chiefs money line.
Whoa!
I am that confident the Chiefs are going to win this game. Right now, Chiefs money line is plus 110 from our friends at FanDuel. So 25 nuggies on the Chiefs outright as the money line underdogs.
How much did you put on your 5.5 for Taylor Swift appearances? Well, how much money were you putting on that one, Spencer?
I'm putting 10.
10. Okay. Did you do 10 for 10 as well?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, all right. So we're both in that camp. I've got 5 that are like normal-ish game props and 5 that are a little more extreme. My first one, my worst odds of any I've got. It's just minus 115. MVS over 1.5 receptions. I'm kind of emotionally hedging here because I have no problem not saying that many nice things about MVS, but we talked about it earlier today. He might have an opportunity. The Chiefs might be able to scheme him open a little bit. And if he gets a chance to catch the ball, it's probably going to end up being a big play. So I want to put $10 down on MVS to go 1.5 over 1.5 receptions. Number 2 for you, Spencer.
Can I put in a parlay in this?
Yeah.
Sure. You can do whatever you want.
Because I have this parlay.
All right.
Well, I guess it technically. Oh, that's a parlay. I put $10 down on personally.
Okay.
Which I could win.
Oh, okay. So this is real dollars.
This is real dollars.
Okay.
I did put down. I could win $136.
Okay.
Pacheco anytime touchdown.
Okay.
Kelsey anytime touchdown.
Okay.
Kelsey 7+ receptions.
Okay.
Which we'll get into later on my over under.
Oh,
That's got to do with that. And then I have the under at 23.5 in the first half.
okay.
So that's another $10 for me.
That's a lot of touchdowns to go with the first half under.
It's just 2
Well, I guess
touchdowns.
just 2. All right.
I mean, that's the whole game.
What are the
Yeah.
what are the odds on that? Did you
Yeah.
build it out?
What did you get the odds on that for?
Oh, hold on.
$10 to win 136. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
So that would be 1360.
Yeah,
think
plus
so, yeah.
1360. Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
It didn't really show me.
All right.
No, it's plus 1260.
1260. Okay. Oh, yeah. Plus the original wager. All right. What you got, Dan?
I got another 25 nuggies on an alternate spread.
Whoa.
I think the Chiefs are winning by more than a field goal. So I'm going Chiefs minus 3.5. The current odds at FanDuel plus 172. So,
Wow.
yeah, that's 25 to win 43. So half of my budget is on the Chiefs winning this game by 4 or more points.
Wow.
And winning it by 4 or more points. But I believe very firmly that is what's going to happen.
I am going with my next one here. Patrick Mahomes over 2.5 passing touchdowns. He did it last year in the Super Bowl. Not the first 2 Super Bowl appearances. Against the Niners in 54, he had 2. None against Tampa Bay in Super Bowl 55. I think he goes over 2.5 touchdown passes. That's plus 275. $10 on that one.
That's exactly what I
Love it. All right, we're riding on that one. We got a squad ride on that one. Love that. Dan, all right, you're next. All right, we got Spencer's third.
Okay. I've got a couple of anytime touchdown scorer bets. So I'll just kind of lump them together.
Okay.
I've got 10 nuggies apiece on a Jawan Jennings anytime touchdown for the 49ers. I think with him being the 4th receiving option for San Francisco, he might be a guy that Purdy finds on a scramble drill in the red zone. Got Jawan Jennings anytime touchdown plus 750. I think those are the best odds. I think that's the best value for any 49ers touchdown score. And I do think they are going to find the end zone at least one time on Sunday. And I've got 10 nuggies on a McCole Hardman anytime touchdown. He scored 3 against the 49ers last year. Give him the ball to jet sweep. Tell him, do not extend the football. You're going to have 4 blockers against 3 defenders, just like you did last year. Just walk in, baby. McCole Hardman to score an anytime touchdown is plus 1,600.
Wow. 1,600. Holy cow.
That's $10 to win 160.
Number 3. So how much do you have left?
I have
30
left. Yes.
Okay.
I have 30 left, 4 bets left.
My third one here, which one will I go with next? We'll just go in order of the odds. McCaffrey, plus 2 or more touchdowns, plus 410. I think if they're scoring, they're going to be getting it in on the ground with Christian McCaffrey. So CMC, 2 or more touchdowns, plus 410. That's $10. Your fourth, Spencer? Are you on the same one?
Yeah.
Let's go. All right. We're riding together.
Wow.
But I put 20 on it.
Oh.
So I got plus 230 on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All
Dan?
right. I'll do my Christian McCaffrey bet as well.
Make sure you're all keeping these, by the way, because I want to actually pick a winner on Monday.
Yeah, I've got my slip over here.
Okay.
As I said on yesterday's show, if the 49ers win this game, I want to leave here with something. And I think if the 49ers win this game, it's going to be on the back, or more accurately, the legs of Christian McCaffrey. So I've got 10 nuggies on Christian McCaffrey to win the Super Bowl MVP at plus 450 odds. Yep. I think those are that's the best value for any MVP pick for me, because I don't think Mahomes has the best odds, and then it's Purdy, and then it's McCaffrey.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think if the 49ers win this game, it's going to be about Brock Purdy. I think it's going to be about Christian McCaffrey, and I think he'll win the MVP if they do.
No, I like that one a lot.
So I'm hedging. It's an emotional hedge, whatever you want to call it. But like I said, the 49ers win. I'm leaving here with something.
Plus 420 for me. Blaze it. And this one's from FanDuel. It's even called the Super Bowl 54 repeat. The San Francisco 49ers, I know I'm on the opposite side of the fence from Spencer on this one. They are shut out in the fourth quarter. No fourth quarter Niners points. They're done scoring before the final 15 minutes. That's plus 420.
I like that.
Spencer, you're fifth.
All right, this is an interesting one, and I'm coming up with some of these on the fly because I had other ones, and I was like,
okay,
let me change things around. I have 15 on McCaffrey because it's got to do with McCaffrey, but there's a line on FanDuel where it's method of first touchdown.
Oh,
plus 550 in the receiving touchdown, and I have $15 on it.
Okay, I like that.
I think he's gonna get a swing pass.
Awesome. All right, I like that. Dan?
This is a FanDuel special. This is a game special from FanDuel for Chris Jones and Nick Bosa to each record at least half a sack. Plus 340 odds. I got 10 nuggies on that.
Chris Jones and Nick Bosa?
Chris Jones and Nick Bosa, I
Okay.
think, both get into the sack column on Sunday.
All right. I like that one. My final normal-ish one, longest reception. I'm going George Kittle, plus 600. He is a vertical. You don't think of him as a vertical threat because of his size, because of his strength, because of how good of a blocker he is. He is a vertical threat for this team, though. Right there with Ayuk, I would say, is their best vertical threat. I'm going to go longest reception, George Kittle. That's plus 600. 10 down on that one. Spencer, how much money do you have left of our 100 here? If my math...
45.
Okay.
Jeez.
All right, fire away.
This kind of is along the lines of one of those specials. I got both Brock Purdy and Patrick Mahomes to complete at least 25 passes, and I got $15 on that for plus 500.
All right. How much do you have left?
I've got 10.
All right.
I've got two $5 nuggy bets left.
Okay.
One of them is very stupid. I'm looking at the Bovada, the overseas requested wagers. I actually kind of like this one. Plus 4,500 odds for Trent McDuffie to record a pick six.
Oh. Are you sure?
Yes.
All right. I anything pro Trent McDuffie, I am cool with.
I like the thought of...
I just... remember how many career interceptions he has.
Right. What better time for his first? How many touchdowns did Sky Moore have in his career before last Super Bowl?
That's true. That's
no better
fair
time.
Enough.
No better time than the present. He's going to be playing out of the slot. Like a deflected pass comes right to him or something. And he picks one off on a corner blitz. Like, I could see it. I can see. I know Purdy's going to throw a pick. I feel it. I feel it down in my plums. He's going to throw a pick. And why not a pick six to McDuffie, especially at plus 4,500 odds? Even 5 nuggies going to take me home. What? What's the math on that? 225?
Something like that.
Yeah,
what
225 plus 4,500.
4,500. Wow.
Yeah.
I am going with my next one. Opening kickoff will not be a touchback. Plus 240. Jake Moody has not kicked a lot of them this year. So I'm going no touchback on the opening kickoff plus 240. I put plus value on all of mine. I wanted to get weird here because I only need like 2 to hit to win.
Yeah, I'm in the same line as you.
Spencer?
All right, so this is another one that I actually bet on. But I lower money that I actually bet on it than what I would put on here.
Okay.
Sure. I don't have fantasy money to work with here.
Right.
Plus 2,600 for each team to score plus 1 touchdown, 1 plus touchdown, and 1 plus field goal in each half.
Okay.
That's plus 2,600. So I have that down. I'm putting it down for $10 on this one.
Mhm.
But personally, I put down $2 and
just a little sprinkle.
I mean, I would make $54.
And there you go.
$52 would be my net gain. So
yeah, not bad value.
Your final one?
All right. My final one, I'm actually going to put this up on the StreamYard. Otherwise, people won't believe me that this bet is actually on Bovada. But I'm going to go ahead and put my final 5 nuggies on Las Vegas being invaded by aliens and the game ending in a tie. That is plus 100,000.
Yeah. Hey, look, if you win, my only concern for you is that you might not be able to collect.
Hey,
we might have some other issues to work through.
I, for one, welcome our new alien overlords. By the way, that is the same odds that you can get for the more frequently held conspiracy theory that Kelsey will win MVP, score the last touchdown. The Chiefs will win exactly 34-31. Kelsey then proposes to Taylor Swift on the field, and they both endorse President Joe Biden for the 2024 election. You get those same odds, plus 100,000. You can also get plus 100,000 that Taylor Swift will be seen kissing George Kittle on the field after the 49ers win.
That bet, I posted this one on Twitter. That one is called High Infidelity. Those have shorter odds than a 5-2 final score.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
The on-field proposal bet, like no, it's not the proposal. Sorry. It's Travis and Jason Kelsey both announcing their immediate retirement after the game, after a Chiefs win. There are better odds of that happening than my Trent McDuffie pick six. Like, wow. I don't know what Bovada's doing, man. They're
stealing money from idiots.
They're stealing money. I'll give you a real bet. Keep it going. I'm not actually going to bet the freaking alien thing. Give me a break.
Next up for me, this one, history is not on my side. 4 straight Super Bowls and 7 of the last 8, we have had a 1-yard touchdown. Not this weekend. Shortest touchdown over 1.5 yards. That's plus 124. 4 straight Super Bowls have had a 1-yard touchdown.
I actually like that one.
Spencer?
Oh, this would be my last one. $10 on Blue Gatorade plus 490.
There we go. There's the Gatorade bet.
Somebody had to do it.
Love that.
Unfortunately, can't make it in the state.
Apparently, a ton of money has come in on Orange that has dropped its odds from like 550 to 350.
That's so weird.
I might have to zoom back to West Virginia just to make this bet.
Just to get that one down.
Because you can do it in West Virginia.
Your final 5?
My final.
Your real final 5?
My real final 5 nuggy bet from Bovada. Each team to score 2+ rushing touchdowns plus 900.
Wow. Okay. Mahomes and Pacheco and 2 for McCaffrey?
Yes.
I think it makes some sense.
Yeah, I think that's how the 49ers are gonna finish their drives.
I can see it. All right, my final ones. I've still got a few here. I really went with just 10 for each one. All right. First song by Usher. He's going to play OMG. That's going to get the crowd going. He can't play Yeah first. There's just no way.
Yeah's the closer.
You got to hold on to that.
It's got to be like minus 1,000 for Yeah to be the closer.
OMG's plus 150. Did you see who's going to perform with him?
Alicia Keys.
Alicia Keys rules. We at my wedding, we danced to an Alicia Keys song after everyone left. It was very nice, very romantic. Love Alicia Keys. My final 2.
I would have hoped David Guetta would have popped out with him, and they would have done without you.
Yeah.
Shout out to his family.
Cross sport bet. The Chiefs will have fewer total points then Jimmy Butler has total points on Sunday against the Boston Celtics. That is even money. Jimmy Buckets. Jimmy G Buckets. The G stands for gets. More points than the Chiefs have total points. And finally, at plus 900, we will have an octopus. One player will score a touchdown and get the 2-point conversion. It happened 11 times this regular season. It'll happen again on Sunday. $10 down at plus 900. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, me too.
I only had like one normal one in the whole group. That's how you should do it, though. I'm probably not going to bet on all of these in real life. I will tell you that right now.
No, these might stay strictly nuggy bets, in which case maybe I'll find 5 spare nuggies for that alien invasion one.
Yeah, I might be placing a lot of $1 bets.
Yeah.
I think
$1 on 100 different things.
I have $6 left to work with, so I'm gonna see what the odds are, and if I lose $1, I lose $1.
Hey, we don't unit shame here.
No
If
unit
I lose
shaming
$1,
here
I
on
lose
5
$1.
Sports Talk. Coming up on the other side of this break, on Monday, we'll tell you who won the picks contest. Everybody keep these because we're going to find out who won or lost the most money coming up on Monday. But right now, we've got to get to what is wrong with you, and then we'll talk a little Travis Kelce to close out the hour here on 580 Sports Talk. What is wrong with you time here on 580 Sports Talk? We will find our champion for the week. If you are betting on an alien invasion to happen during the Super Bowl, you win the week in What is Wrong with You. I want to meet someone who is betting that, or betting that Taylor Swift cheats on Travis Kelce with George Kittle, who, by the way, is married.
Yes.
And has been for years.
Yes, he and his wife do like commercials together.
Yeah, don't they do glasses commercials?
Yeah, he's like designed some Zennies. Shout out to Zenny. I got a pair of Zennies. They're very nice.
The funniest sponsorship deal I saw for an NFL player this year was Matthew Stafford shilling for last wills and testaments.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, he and his wife are like, oh yeah,
say Little Caesar.
No, like that in and of itself is funny because he's not exactly, Marlon Brando as an actor. But no, they did ads. I saw him one day and I thought, are they doing an ad for getting wills done? And they were. They're in their kitchen like, oh, yeah, we got our will done. It was really easy. We set our family up forever. Like, well, that's really nice. This is bizarre, though.
Before you guys get into that, Matt Derrick quoted a tweet that was pretty funny. So Field Level Media apparently has a claim. They're posting a story that Christian McCaffrey's mom claims the 49ers hotel had a fire alarm pulled the other morning.
Yes.
She claims that fire alarm was an inside job. Matt Derrick has a funny tweet. He said, if we're going to go with inside job theory of the 49ers fire alarm going off, I'm more likely to buy into the conspiracy theory that it was Kyle Shanahan who pulled it to motivate his team.
Yeah. We're going to get to this coming up after what is wrong with you. The 49ers just continue to whine. They are whining and crying
all week long,
nonstop all week long. And we're going to get to that here in just a minute. More on that story in particular. That is funny from Matt. All right, what is wrong with you for today? Our winners so far from yesterday, the cocaine business cards. Our guy who had a fake name and a fake occupation on his business cards, he was attaching free coke to it.
Yes.
And was dealing cocaine as well.
He thought that the fake name on the card would be enough to throw off the authorities, but all of the other contact information helped the authorities to find him, do a month-long sting, and then bust him.
All right, Dan, you're up first today.
All right, we got another cocaine story.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we're going to San Jose. We meet 32-year-old Luis Carrillo Moyeda, who has been arrested on suspicion of making and selling illegal narcotics out of his donut shop.
Oh, no.
He is accused of running the operation out of a business on the 400 block of Blossom Hill Road in San Jose. Though police did not name the business, property records confirm Carrillo Moyeda is the owner of Yum Yum Donuts at that location. We've got a quote from customer Mario. I think it's crazy personally because I always come to this donut shop. And to hear this, it's unbelievable. I would have never guessed. End quote. Thank you, Mario, for your service. January 19th, authorities executed search warrants at the suspect's home and place of business and recovered various illegal narcotics manufacturing parts, cash, an unregistered firearm, and ammunition. The illegal narcotics that were made and sold is a new synthetic drug that's made from a mixture of ketamine, MDMA, meth, cocaine, and opioids. It's known as pink cocaine, Pantera Rosa, or Pink Panther. Doctors at Valley Medical Center said they have not seen any patients coming in from ODing on the new drug, but added it's dangerous.
Sounds like Pink Death.
So, yeah, he just mixes everything. It's just give me it all.
So what do you suppose, like, if you go to Yum Yum Donuts, you're like, hey, give me extra sprinkles? Like, is that what it is?
Oh, yeah. No, I want that Yum Yum special. That's insane.
I want the longer John, please.
MDMA, meth, coke, and opioids. That is horrible,
and ketamine.
Man.
Yeah.
And ketamine, yeah. Oh, my gosh. That is outrageous.
Moving it out of a donut shop. Donut shops are supposed to be places where we can
Yeah.
come together and enjoy God's perfect food, a donut.
No kidding.
This guy's messing it up for everybody.
Yeah, I don't like that one bit. My story today is going to take us to California, and I need to save the we've got an image here that I want to make sure we save and put on the YouTube feed because it is very funny. And what is also funny is that while the story took place in California, it's got a tie to our favorite state, Florida, because a guy from Florida is the one who perpetrated the crime here. All right, so our story starts at Half Moon Bay, California, where a man allegedly stole a small airplane and landed it on the beach. Around 5 p.m. Thursday, the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office received a report of a small airplane that landed near or on a beach near Half Moon Bay. Responding deputies discovered a small plane intact and unoccupied on the sand just south of Poplar Beach. Deputies say they later located a man matching the description of the person seen landing and then walking away from the aircraft. During the course of the investigation, deputies learned the plane had been stolen from Palo Alto, California. The San Mateo County Sheriff's Office is working with Palo Alto's police on the case. The man was allegedly seen walking away from the airplane, and he has been identified as 50-year-old Luis Gustavo Aries from Miami. He is currently being charged with violation of California Penal Code 499, theft of an airplane.
Yeah, they got a number for that.
That is so funny to me.
We got a 499 paging through your manual. Wait, what?
Take cover.
I don't know that one. I know 187. I don't know 499.
No, that's like the North by Northwest. That's the movie, right? With the airplane flying overhead.
Yeah.
So we've got the picture up on YouTube right now, and it's very funny. There's a little sheriff's dune buggy in the foreground, and just behind it, there is a plane nose down in the sand. Like, if it didn't completely crash, it actually looks fine, but it clearly skidded to a stop in the sand and then went nose down, tail up.
On this week's edition of Shutdown Fullcast, another podcast that I listen to, boy, I've just been advertising for free all the podcasts I listen to on today's show. But they were talking about how every man in their head believes they could fly an airplane. Like, that they could probably make it work if they had to.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it might look like in a best case scenario. You sort of kind of crash landed on the beach.
I think I could fly an airplane. I don't think I could take off or land the plane.
I have very little confidence in those two things too. But like, you sit me in like while it's flying, yeah, I think I could probably like hold the wheel. Maybe.
I knew people. My high school had an aviation program.
Oh, that's cool.
Sick.
Yeah, and I was not a part of it. I'm not nearly smart enough to handle those aerodynamics and aeronautics and things like that. But I remember people saying, like, as they were going through it, like, the easy part is when you get in the air. I mean, it's like sitting in cruise control, essentially. But to get it up there and then to get it back down is the concerning part. I could not do that. I know I could not. All right, I'm going to vote first today, and I'm going to vote for Dan's story because that is a lot of drugs being mixed into a new drug.
Yes, same.
That is a new, like, that's the new definition of drug cocktail to me.
It's Huey Lewis in the news. Won a new drug.
Yeah. But not even really
cocaine.
Not even really a new drug, just a bunch of other drugs mixed together. All right, that wins today. That's already got 2 votes. That's the winner for today. Does that beat the cocaine business card?
I love that we have 2 cocaine stories head to head to round out the week. Nah, man, this dude is handing out business cards
with free coke.
Yes,
and thought that he was just going to get off scot-free for that.
Was the idea that he would bolster his driver business, or was the driving a front for the coke dealing, or was he multitasking? Was he working 2 jobs?
Who knows?
That's possible.
In the gig economy, who can say?
The fact that he didn't use a fake phone number, get a burner phone, man. Don't use your own personal number that is linked to you.
He's like, I got a fake name, but here's all my socials and phone number, address. Here's a picture of me and my mother.
That is too funny. That is so good. That's our winner for today and our winner for the week, the cocaine business card.
Cocaine business cards, honest to God, sounds like the name of an Action Bronson album.
Yes, it does. No, that is correct. 100%. That is our winner this week in What Is Wrong With You. Dan is on his way to Rossville for our Lewis Toyota High School Basketball Game of the Week doubleheader. Meanwhile, Spencer and I have you the rest of the way. We'll talk a little Travis Kelce and a little bit of those whiny San Francisco 49ers. That's coming up here on 580 Sports Talk. Brendan and Spencer here with you on 580 Sports Talk. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, whether you're listening or watching along on today's show. If you're watching on the YouTube stream, we have to update some of our graphics because now when we go to just two cameras when Dan leaves, the screen still says Dan Lucero and Spencer Dupuis.
Yeah.
That's fine when I'm gone doing Washburn. Not so fine when I'm here and Dan's gone. So we're going to make it audible since it is Red Friday, and we're just going to go with Chiefs Red for our background the rest of the day.
There we go.
We're going to theme the show perfectly for Super Bowl 58 coming up this weekend.
Couldn't do it any better.
We're going to get to your Travis Kelce research here in a moment, but I did want to bring this up because you alluded to it at the start of What Is Wrong With You, this story from Vegas today, or Lake Las Vegas, I guess. The 49ers were awoken early today.
I think it was yesterday.
Or was it yesterday?
I feel like I've heard about this starting yesterday.
Oh, okay. I was a day behind then. But either way, they were awoken up at their hotel earlier than expected by a pulled fire alarm. And obviously the fire alarm goes off. Everybody's got to get up, get out. The players have expressed that they are not happy about it at all, the San Francisco players. As we heard, Lisa McCaffrey, Christian's mom, said she thinks it was an inside job, which this is about as classic as you can get when it comes to trying to mess with a team you don't like at their hotel, trying to wake them up early with the old fire alarm pull trick, which, by the way, is illegal. You're not supposed to do that. Here's the thing. Do you know how much earlier than expected the 49ers were awoken by the fire alarm?
Not very long, because I saw a funny take from George Kittle about what he did when the fire alarm went off.
Oh, what did he say?
Basically, he didn't even wait. So he got up. He didn't even wait to see what was wrong. He just went in the bathroom and just closed the door, turned on the fan, and was taking a dump for 18 minutes.
Is there anything more Joe Tooney, or no, I'm sorry, I'm about to give you some news on Joe Tooney. Is there anything more George Kittle than that?
No. That's perfect. That's something I would do too.
No, that I saw, and I can't confirm this. I saw it on social media, so who knows if it's true. 7 minutes. 6:10 wake up call. The alarm went off at 6:03.
Yeah, I heard it was like around 6 o'clock ish. So yeah.
Like, are you serious? Y'all are taking a rest in the middle of the day anyway. And I know these are finely tuned machines of bodies that these players have, and rest is important. I understand all of that. Bruh, come on. Let's be serious here for a minute, okay? I think you are going to survive 7 minutes multiple days before the Super Bowl.
It's not like it's Super Bowl morning.
Right. Yeah. Like if you're getting your rest in an hour before kickoff and someone is screwing with you, okay, sure. I can understand it. Come on. Give me a break here. I feel no sympathy. They have done nothing but cry and whine from the very, very beginning. It started before I think they even got to Vegas when Nick Bosa, I think this was last week, in fact. Nick Bosa was asked about the Chiefs tackles, and he said, hey, what do you think of Donovan Smith and Juwan Taylor? And his response, his only response was, well, they hold a lot.
Yeah.
That's poisoning the well right from the very beginning. That is trying to send a message to the officiating crew, to the fans. Now you're going to have the most obnoxious people in sports, the people who just never shut up about officiating, who just complain and whine about it constantly, and it is so obnoxious, who are now going to say, oh, well, Nick Bosa was right. They are holding, even though no one knows what holding is. Like, if you spend any amount of time, live tweeting a game, following on Twitter, even with just like Joe football fan, no one knows what holding is. And people complain, oh, that's holding. No one knows what holding is.
Exactly.
It is so frustrating. And now we're going to end up with that crap because the Niners have been complaining and whining about everything. Oh, our turf doesn't feel good. Our alarm went off 7 minutes early, 4 days before the Super Bowl. Come on. Give me a break. It's just excuse after excuse after excuse, just like this same group largely last year. They get their asses handed to them by the Philadelphia Eagles. Well, we didn't have Brock Purdy. He got hurt. Dog, you lost by what, 4 scores? That game wasn't close. Brock Purdy in his, second or third playoff game ever? Come on.
We have some breaking news. Not necessarily breaking, because he didn't suggest that it would happen anyway. But because they didn't have media today, the Chiefs did indeed practice earlier.
Yep.
And so they have officially ruled out Joe Tooney. Nick Allegretti will start. McKinnon is questionable. He was the only player limited. And they also are not going to activate Prince Tegawanuga off of IR.
Yeah.
He's out. And then Rashid Rice was a full participant who, as he mentioned, was stepped on, I think, in practice yesterday.
Mhm.
So only one player that was on the active roster currently ruled out, Joe Tooney.
Yeah, not a real surprise. Not surprised Tega Winogo is out. I didn't think Tooney would play. A pec injury is nasty. I mean, that's a really hard thing to come back from. I don't know. I mean, we'll find out soon if McKinnon is activated from injured reserve.
Like 24 hours from now, right?
Yeah, I think it's got to be tomorrow. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they have to make a roster move. And either put someone else on IR or do what. I imagine if McKinnon plays, that's probably what they do. I imagine they probably just put Tooney on IR and use McKinnon to fill a spot, if I had to guess. Probably use the practice squad elevations. I mean, why wouldn't you at this point to get two more
they
bodies
do every week?
Game?
So
yeah, exactly. That's why I said Joe Tooney when I meant George Kittle earlier. I was looking at the at the release with the Chiefs info, and I was looking at Joe Tooney and said the wrong name. Look, if McKinnon is out there, he is such a useful piece for this team. Probably will have a little extra juice going up against a former team of his in San Francisco. Might not be many guys left there that he knows from his time in San Francisco. Was he on the team that played in Super Bowl 54? Was he on that team in San Francisco?
I don't know.
You might not know the answer to that. I am going to check right now, and he was. Oh, no. No, he was not. He was out of football still that season. He was on San Francisco the next year and then has spent the last 3 years with the Chiefs. Yeah, he was out of football in 18 and 19 because of all those injuries. It's actually pretty incredible what he's been able to do to rejuvenate his career now past 30 years old. I'd be super happy, and I would feel very smart after I said the other day, oh, well, what about getting Jerick McKinnon involved? Completely forgetting that he was on injured reserve. So
he was on the 49ers, though.
He was in 2020, yeah. Just not the year they made it to the Super Bowl against the Chiefs.
No, he was, this is Wikipedia, so. It says McKinnon suffered a setback from knee injury during training camp, was placed on IR on August 31st, 2019. Without McKinnon, the 49ers reaced Super Bowl 54, but lost 31-20.
Okay, so
does he have a ring?
They had him under contract. Well, no, because they lost.
Oh, yeah, duh. He's got an NFC championship.
So they had him under contract, but he didn't play all year. Okay. All right. Well, that makes sense. I guess they had him in 18 and 19 too. Both ACL tears. Yeah.
So before he tore his ACL, he signed a 4-year, $30 million contract in March of 2018.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes a little more sense then. So he was with San Francisco, but
which he
did not play.
Didn't even finish that contract because of the injuries.
Yeah, man. It's been pretty incredible what he's been able to do with his career, and the fact that he has been able to stay. I mean, I know he's on injured reserve right now, but healthy enough to be a really key player for this Chiefs team over the last couple of years. He's been a good player for a really long time, man.
Did he just re-sign a 1-year deal, or did he re-sign 2 years?
No, he's been coming back on 1-year deals.
Okay.
Which I think
said he was re-signed on March 2nd of last year.
Yes. Yeah, I know that was kind of drawn out a little bit. Like, is he going to come back? Is he going to retire? Is he going to go do something else? But yeah, he's back on a 1-year deal. Let's get to the research you did on Travis Kelce here. So this was originally for over under yesterday on the show, which we had to scrap due to some technical difficulties, but you found some interesting notes on Travis Kelce.
Yes. I was going to make my original pick for this was making a dumb guess of how many times we would hear Tony Romo say, "Oh, Jim. I was just going to make a dumb thing," and then I had a bunch of times, so I was like, I don't know, Jim. So I decided to go look up some stuff because it kind of all goes back to the last game for Kelce.
Mm-hmm.
He had 11 catches and 11 targets, and then in the wild card game, he had 7 catches on 10 targets.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back and looked up some playoff game log stats. I am setting his targets at 8.5, setting his catches at 6.5, and I'm taking the over on both in this game.
7.5 and 6.5.
No, 8.5 for the targets, 6.5 for the catches.
Okay, 8.5.
Yeah. He has an average of 9.2 targets in his 21 playoff games. 9.6 in 17 games he's played with Pat Mahomes.
Interesting.
So not that much of an uptick.
No,
but it's only 4 games compared to 17 games.
Sure.
So a smaller sample size without Mahomes.
Yeah.
He has he has only had fewer than 5 targets twice. One when he had 4 in the AFC Championship versus Tennessee in the beginning of 2020, and the AFC wildcard game in 2018 against Tennessee. He had fewer than 4 targets. But if you go back to the last 3 Super Bowls, 6 targets, 6 catches last year, 15 targets, 10 catches in 2021 against Tampa, and then 6 targets, 6 catches against the 49ers. So I feel like he's had a better postseason than he had in those years.
Sure.
So I'm gonna set the over, and I think we talked about it too. If they can get him some catches, I mean, he's gonna do him. He's gonna make catches no matter what happens, no matter who's on him. But that was really my research, was how many times has he thrown to versus how many catches has he made throughout the playoffs, because we know he turns it up a level in the playoffs, versus how many does he targets versus catches, and then going through his career and averaging out per game. So that was just the dumb stat research I did yesterday. So I'm setting his targets at over 8.5 or 8.5. I'm taking the over, and I'm setting his catches at 6.5, and I'm taking the over.
No, I think that's really fascinating. And it again, it all circles back to this point I keep going to, and I know I'm beating the dead horse at this point, but talking about San Francisco and the fact that they don't mix a whole lot up, and they do what they do, and that's what they always do. And the fact that they don't disguise things, and you can expect that Nick Bosa is always going to be in the same spot. Travarius Ward's always going to be in the same spot. Fred Warner is going to be aligning the same way. It's all the same game after game. And when you are that good, you can get away with that. But you're dealing with a different beast here in the tight end and the quarterback and the scheme and the coach and the play calling that Kansas City are bringing your way. Is San Francisco, and this is a rhetorical question, but is San Francisco going to game plan entirely to eliminate Travis Kelce from the game? Like, are they going to break from their tendencies? Are they going to break from what they normally do? They almost always do. And instead, they end up going with a Belichickian game plan where they say, we know 87 is their best player outside of Mahomes. We know we have to slow him down. We will let all the other guys beat us, but that guy cannot beat us, and we are going to change our entire scheme to match that. 1, it would be a massive tendency breaker, and 2, the fact that it would break tendency so much would make me worried if I'm a San Francisco supporter. Well, shoot, am I going, like, how will we be able to handle this? Are we going to be able to handle, with 2 weeks notice, being able to completely change our game plan, which again is why I've got at least some level of comfort that the Chiefs are going to be able to put up enough points to win this game. Now, I think it's fascinating research. And I think, again, this is another example of when you've got guys who are older, whose bodies are breaking down, who've got injury problems, or who you're just trying to, keep as healthy as possible. And granted, I mean, Travis Kelce had a good regular season, and he got beaten up anyway. I mean, he missed a game for the first time in forever due to health reasons, non-COVID reasons. But if you can keep those guys as fresh as possible to unleash them in the playoffs, there is real value to that. We're seeing the Chiefs do that with Isaiah Pacheco. And I know it's different for Kelce because he had to pick up so much of the slack this year with how weak the wide receiver core was for the majority of 18 weeks. But if you're getting this kind of play out of him, and especially with an extra week to rest up that body that has been banged up all year, I'm with you. I'll say it right now. I'm going to go over with you. I'm going to go over those 6.5 catches. I'm going to go over those 8.5 targets. And I think he's going to be involved a lot in this game. And I think, like you pointed out earlier, too, they're going to have to rely on Rice and Kelce as pass catchers. I think they're both going to be involved plenty in this game plan. We've got 1 hour left of 580 Sports Talk coming up after the news. it is the final hour-ish of 580 Sports Talk this Super Bowl week. I'm Brendan Dworzinski. He is Spencer Dupuis. We are here with you up until the start of pregame coverage for the Lewis Toyota High School basketball game of the week doubleheader. Rossville hosting Silver Lake. Girls first, boys second. Game one tip-off slated for 6 o'clock. We will have coverage of both games for you right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9 coming up this evening with Dan Lucero and the coach, Larry Latimer, on the call tonight from Rossville. Really excited. Top 3 ranked matchup on the girls' side, and the boys' game should be a banger as well coming up. Again, our Lewis Toyota High School basketball game of the week doubleheader. Pre-game is slated to start around 5:45. Maybe a little bit after, maybe a little bit before, maybe right on the number for 5:45. So we will take you on 580 Sports Talk right up until the pregame start time today. In this final hour of the show, we will get you our 580 Sports Talk headlines, and we have a bunch of them. We will get our final thoughts on Super Bowl 58, and maybe we will even hear some more complaining from the San Francisco 49ers between now and then. We are still taking your texts, 785-272-9429. That is our text line number. You can also jump into the YouTube stream. 580 Sports Talk is where you can find us on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com, search 580 Sports Talk. We will have the full crew, assuming you're not going out and getting blitzed and hammered for the Super Bowl on Sunday.
We definitely have no plans of that.
We will have the whole crew together for our final Chiefs Instant Reaction show of the 2023 season, capping it off with the Super Bowl coming up on Sunday. We will be live in the neighborhood of about 10 minutes after the game, might be on even sooner than that. I know you guys are going to want to watch the podium and all of that. So we'll go on 10 to 15 minutes after the game goes final. They'll present the Lombardi Trophy. We will go live on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, and we'll have it posted to our website as well after the Chiefs take on the San Francisco 49ers coming up on Sunday. And again, to finish off our housekeeping, the national broadcast of Super Bowl 58 with Kevin Harlan and Kurt Warner can be heard right here on 580 WIBW coming up on Sunday. We will have Westwood One's early in the day coverage throughout the early afternoon hours. We'll flip it over to the Chiefs radio network from 3 until 4. So we'll have Mitch Holtis, Art Haynes, the entire Chiefs radio network crew. Then from 4 o'clock onward, we'll have the remainder of the Westwood One pregame into the Westwood One broadcast here on our airwaves of 580 WIBW. Did you know that Kevin Harlan was previously the voice of the Chiefs?
That I did. We focused on Kevin Harlan a good bunch during my sports broadcasting classes. Shout out Dr. Bailey, because I know he listens.
Well, yeah, Dr. Bailey, good course of action to study and talk about Kevin Harlan. He is the absolute best. Do you know where he went to college?
I do not. I know that he is the voice of the Chiefs. I'm going to assume KU.
He's a Rock Chalk Jayhawk. That is right. Love
I probably
Kevin,
did know that, but it's been some years since I took that class.
He does from time to time during, not when he does college basketball because he's got to stay impartial, but he does rep KU when he does NBA games once in a while. They had a Nuggets game, I think it was earlier this season, and Christian Brown had a really strong game, and he was shouting out KU, and that was pretty cool. Kevin Harlan's the best. Everybody who knows Kevin has a story about him just being a great guy. The story of how he got his start producing the pregame show for the Chiefs radio network was awesome. He's just the absolute best, and a Kansas native, too. He's got a tie to the Packers even because his dad, Bob, was one of the most significant figures in Green Bay Packers history. So he is the greatest, Kevin Harlan. Does the preseason play-by-play on TV for Packers games, in fact. All right, enough about the great Kevin Harlan. Let's get on to our 580 Sports Talk headlines. We've got a question here from Vance, by the way, on YouTube. Says, will we do an Ask Me Anything this hour? Sure. Why not? Let's do an Ask Me Anything this hour. Love to do these on Fridays when we get off early before high school hoops.
I've got another tie. We read the book. What was the name of that book? The Art of Sportscasting. You know who wrote that book?
What's Kevin Harlan?
No, I believe he was featured in it. It was Tom Hedrick.
Oh, yeah. Another KU great.
Yeah.
Tom Hedrick's one of the legends of the business.
I was trying to remember the name. It's been quite a few years.
Yeah,
so I had to Google it.
No, I got to meet Tom a while back. legend, absolute icon. So yeah, if you guys have any questions for us, you'd like to know about Spencer, you'd like to know about me, our thoughts on anything, send them in. Text line number is 785-272-9429. And of course, the comment section is rolling on the YouTube stream today as well. Send them on in. Why not? Let's have some fun on this feel-good red Super Bowl Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk. All right, first headline for today. If we can get some sound on the main computer here, I wanted to touch on this. This came out yesterday on NFL Network. The NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reporting about what is the future going to look like for both L'Jarius Sneed and for Chris Jones. Take a listen here to Ian Rappaport. And that's not going to play because I muted Twitter on my computer, so it didn't make sound one time. All right, now we are good to go. Here is Ian Rappaport.
A busy one and probably an expensive one. I mean, those are two superstars on the defensive side of the ball. L'Jarius Sneed, really one of the best finds of Brett Veach's career. Certainly would be a possibility of being a franchise tag candidate. You only get one, right? So you figure the number for Chris Jones, they want to retain both. Brett Veach has come out publicly this weekend saying that is going to be the priority for the Kansas City Chiefs. The franchise tag would make a lot of sense for L'Jarius Sneed. And then you say for Chris Jones, is someone going to pay a 30-something defensive tackle more than the Chiefs? Maybe. If that's the case, he might go get it. They have built something incredibly special in Kansas City. I know even with the contract off and on, the kind of angst that we had before the season, still a lot of good feelings there. We had the holdout. He still showed up, was an all-pro player. I know the Chiefs would like him back. It's just really a matter of finding a number that they can stomach, and that is enough for him to remain a Chief for life.
Okay, so let's read between the lines here. The Chiefs, as we know, if you have followed Chris Jones's saga, Orlando Brown the last couple of years, Tyrann Mathieu a couple of years ago. Remember the drama with Tyrann Mathieu before last season? And we all expected. I expected it. Dan, Jake, Fulton at the time, Matt, Derrick, Matt Verderame. We all were expecting Tyrann Mathieu was going to get another contract from the Chiefs. And we didn't hear anything about it in the 2021 season. There was just no movement. And then suddenly, hey, free agency is about to approach. Hey, legal tampering is here. Oh, shoot. Maybe they're not bringing him back. And they moved on because the Chiefs had a number. They refused to go above that number. They liked the player at a certain number. They moved on from him. They were deciding, you know what, we're going to go with Justin Reed instead. We're going to go with the younger player, similar amount of money. I believe, if I remember correctly, Tyrann Mathieu got something like $100,000 more total value on his contract from the Saints than what Justin Reed got total value, not even including guarantees, from Kansas City. They just decided, hey, we're going to go with the younger player. And Justin Reed has been a very good player for the Chiefs over the last two seasons. What Rappaport said just there, well, the Chiefs really want him back. They've just got to find that number. That's what that tells me, is that, hey, Chris, if you're willing to take a discount from what you have always believed you are to be owed, then we'll welcome you back. If you want more than that, sorry, it's not going to happen. That's how I read into that situation. So to me then, Spencer, it tells me Chris Jones is going elsewhere because he wants the big payday. I think he's going to get the big payday from a team that has a lot of money. I think he's moving on. The Chiefs would like him back, but liking him back and doing whatever it takes money-wise to get him back are two different things.
Yeah, and that's the reality of sports right now. And every year a player gets a bigger contract, which means the next player is going to get a bigger contract if they feel they're on the same level as that player or even better. So sports is going to be an interesting thing in like 5-10 years to see what happens. How much is the money going to go up?
Yeah. No, that's true. I mean,
is there a threshold of how big these contracts are going to get, or in 20 years are we going to see billion-dollar contracts?
I think it's possible. I think it's entirely possible we end up getting to that point. By the way, I will ask you this as an expert on the situation. How badly does Washington need defensive line help?
They sent away probably, I thought their best defensive lineman to Sweat.
Montez Sweat, Chase Young.
I didn't care. I didn't care about Chase Young because he didn't really do anything.
On the interior, though,
I don't think so. I mean, John Allen's there.
They're going to have a lot of money to spend. Did you know they have the most cap space of anyone in the league next year?
Yeah. I didn't know what the number was, but I knew it was going to be in the neighborhood of 70 to 85.
Yeah. per Spotrac, $83.5 million in cap space.
See, I've seen 5 different numbers in the last week. Yesterday, I saw 73.
Okay.
You're giving me 83.
Somewhere in that ballpark, though.
Yeah.
And even if you ducked that down to 73 million, they would still be in second most cap space available by just $400,000. Like, they have so much open space to spend with, which as a new owner, I'm sure Josh Harris is very excited about that.
I mean, I think that definitely was a reason why they got the GM that they got.
I think you're right about that. I think Chris Jones is going to the Bears for what it's worth. Bears still have almost $50 million in cap space. I think that's where he's ending up. Has the connection to Ryan Poles. Yeah, him and Sweat together.
Just signed that extension.
That's a really good pairing, man. That's a really good duo.
And I think that's what are they going to do at quarterback? So that's something else that's come out lately. Have you seen that?
No.
It's not true. Those, we've talked about it, those Twitter accounts, those NFL reporting Twitter accounts where so-and-so is going to do this, this, and this. Well, it was said the Commanders were willing to trade up to number 1. If they weren't willing to trade up to number 1, and the Bears did, in fact, get Caleb Williams, they would trade for Justin Fields. I don't like that.
No, because Justin Fields stinks. He's not a good player. I see that constantly. Well, you could get a number 1 for him. Maybe a number 1, at least a number 2. Why? He's one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. People fall in love with running quarterback. Like, Lamar is different because Lamar can throw.
Yeah.
And he had a bad game in the AFC Championship game, which didn't help these narratives. But, like, he can throw. He's a good thrower. Justin Fields is not. He stinks. He's a bad player. He's a bad NFL player. Seems like a nice guy. He works hard. But if those are the first 2 things you come to, that's not worth it. Whoever trades a second-round pick or, God forbid, a first, your GM deserves the firing that he eventually ends up getting.
Yeah.
L'Jarius Sneed, by the way, the fact that Rappaport said franchise tag is likely, that's all I need to know, that he's going to be back next year. Long-term extension or 1 year on the franchise tag, they're going to bring L'Jarius Sneed back for next year. I'm pretty confident about that. First headline for you today.
First headline, it'll be the Pro Football Hall of Fame announcement last night. I spoke on earlier how I didn't like one person getting in.
Mm-hmm.
That person being Devin Hester, receiver, kick returner, punt returner, return specialist. He was in. Then you have a lot of guys that I grew up watching. These classes are becoming more significant to me because I saw them dominate my then Redskins. You got Dwight Freeney, defensive end, most notably with the Colts. Then you got Andre Johnson, Patrick Willis, Julius Peppers. Those are the guys that I really knew of. Then you have Randy Gradishar, and then defensive tackle Steve McMichael. I believe McMichael has passed away.
Yes. No, he's currently battling ALS.
I'm reading that right now. Yeah.
Mongo, if you didn't know him from he was one of the 85 Bears, and he was one of the big personalities of many on that team. He also had a famous stint in WCW, World Championship Wrestling, in the 90s, where he was really, really popular, mostly as a commentator and then also as a wrestler. Not a very good wrestler, but as a wrestler. Mongo's story is, it's cool for him that he is still alive to see himself be announced as a Hall of Fame member. Great, great player. But yeah, really, really sad battle with ALS going on.
Yeah, and I would say, just making a prediction here, you might see the Bears in the Hall of Fame game.
I think you can almost certainly guarantee the Bears will be in the Hall of Fame game next year. Julius Pepper is known mostly for being a Panther also played for the Packers, but he was a Bear. Mongo was a Bear. Devin Hester, obviously the lion's share of his career with the Bears. Yeah, I think they are almost certainly going to be in the Hall of Fame game. Randy Gradishar, I think Bronco fans would tell you that he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame a long time ago. Really, really good player. All 10 of his seasons with Denver, 7-time Pro Bowler, 1978 Defensive Player of the Year. Great player. Probably did deserve to get in a long time ago. Patrick Willis, short career. He did retire early. He was a 5-time first-team All-Pro in 8 seasons. If he was a 5-time first-team All-Pro in, 13 seasons, he would have probably been a first-ballot Hall of Famer. He was awesome. He and Kuechly really bridged the gap. They were the last. They and Wagner, because they overlap with Bobby Wagner quite a bit, really is that last era of a number of great linebackers, because they're just aren't that many of them, right? I mean, there's Warner, who's great. Nick Bolton is very good. I don't think he's on the same level as Fred Warner, but he's a very good player. There's no doubt about that. Mongo deserved to get in. Dwight Freeney, I'm glad, got in. He played for forever, and he was an awesome, awesome player, 125.5 career sacks. Andre Johnson, for years, before I really knew how to play fantasy football well, I'm still not good at it, but at least I know the strategy better now. I used to draft Andre Johnson first round in fantasy all the time because he was guaranteed to put up just massive, massive seasons there in Houston. And I've got no problem with Devin Hester getting in. I understand your argument. You would have liked to see Brian Mitchell go in first, but I mean, Devin Hester, I believe to be the greatest return man of all time. And if you're the greatest to ever play your position, you should be in the Hall of Fame. And the same goes for Adam Vinatieri, who's going to be on the ballot next year.
Yeah. So speaking of Adam Schefter, after they announced that he put out first-time eligibles for the 2025 ballot, Eli Manning, Luke Kuechly, Adam Vinatieri, Terrell Suggs, Marshall Yanda, Marshawn Lynch, Earl Thomas, Joe Staley, Demarius Thomas, Aqib Talib, Vernon Davis, Darren Sproles, Cameron Wake. I mean, getting that down to semifinalists and finalists, oh my gosh, that's going to be really hard.
That is going to be hard, especially when you consider guys who didn't get in this year, like Antonio Gates.
Yeah.
How in the world does Antonio Gates not get into the Hall of Fame?
Does Vernon Davis get in before Antonio Gates?
Who?
Vernon Davis.
No. If he does,
Something's
we
wrong.
need to have a severe talk, a serious talk about the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Vernon Davis, really good player, especially in those Harbaugh years with San Francisco, had an awesome, awesome run. No, he should not get in before Antonio Gates is one of the 5 best tight ends to ever play the game. I am confident in saying that. Come on now. That was the biggest snub from the Hall of Fame. Why don't we build on that? Let's get to the NFL Honors Award winners from last night, shall we? All the winners of the NFL Honors from a night ago. We'll just go down the line here. MVP was Lamar Jackson. He got 49 of the 50 first place votes. Aaron Schatz of FTN Fantasy. He's the guy who invented DVOA. He's the only person who voted for Josh Allen. I get it. I mean, I get why. It is crazy to think that Lamar got 49 of the 50 votes in a year in which the award was debated about until week 15? Like there was still plenty of chatter till week 15 or 16 about who would win it. It was only then that Lamar very clearly became the favorite to win the award. Your coach of the year, Kevin Stefanski. I think he deserved it. Cleveland played 5 different quarterbacks this year and made the postseason. That's obviously a big honor. Here is something.
I think you mean Steve Stefanski. That's what I was referring to earlier.
Stefanski.
The people that had the award and opened it up, they were like, your NFL coach, AP coach of the year is Steve Stefanski. It's Kevin Stefanski.
That's really funny.
Yeah, it was pretty funny to watch.
I think there is an issue with having coach of the year and assistant coach of the year on the same team. I think that is a problem. I think if you're saying that Jim Schwartz is the best assistant coach of the year, I have a hard time saying that the best head coach of the year came from the same staff.
Yeah. My take on this is I do think D'Amico Ryan should have won this. What he did, they were kind of placed to do it with the draft picks, but getting everybody to do what they needed to do, go from not making the playoffs to making the playoffs, and I believe division winners, right? In their division. So I think they won the South. He should have been the coach of the year, my thought.
Yeah, I thought I thought Shane Steichen could have been in the conversation as well. And Stefanski did a great job. I just have a hard time believing that you could have the best coach, head coach, and assistant coach of the year on the same staff. Not impossible, but I find that a little bit hard to believe. Additionally, your offensive player of the year, Christian McCaffrey, yes, deserved 100%. No problem with that. Defensive player of the year, Myles Garrett for the Browns. No issue with that. Rookie of the year, offensive, CJ Stroud. I could have heard an argument for him or Puka Nacua. I'm cool with either one of them. Defensive rookie of the year, Will Anderson for Houston. What a rookie year for Houston. Quarterback, defensive edge rusher, standout, and head coach, all first-year guys. Could have made an argument all of them should have won X of the year at their position. Offensive rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year, and coach of the year. Your Walter Payton Man of the Year award winner, Cameron Hayward of the Steelers. In addition to that, what other notable moments were there?
Did you watch it?
No, I didn't watch. Well, I had the Washburn Coaches show, and then I had Abby and I had TV appointment viewing to make.
Oh,
we watched the new episode of Traders together.
I had nothing else to watch, so it was on in the background a little bit. I was doing some other things. They did some really weird thing where they had the magicians from Vegas come on. I can't remember their names. And they had they said, we're going to pick somebody from the audience. And they picked, obviously, this is clearly all set up.
Sure.
Like, they picked Roger Goodell. They put Roger Goodell in this, like, tank. Not tank, like a glass thing. And he disappears. And I think, is it Barry Sanders who appears? Somebody appears in his place. And it was just the weirdest thing I had ever seen. Also, the intro was really weird with the dancers because it's Vegas. It made sense, but like, I don't know. I just thought it was a little weird.
One other one we should bring up: comeback player of the year. That went to Joe Flacco.
I think that's a good.
I get it. I totally understand. He was left for dead. The Jets didn't want him. He didn't play all year. He shows up. He helps the Browns get into the postseason. I get it. Damar Hamlin died and was resuscitated and revived on the field in Cincinnati week 17 of last season. And I get it. I understand the arguments against it. That, look, the Bills kept him around as a PR thing, and he barely played, and Joe Flacco had these moments. Look, man, I get it. I understand that argument. My stance on the matter, Damar Hamlin died.
Yeah.
And was revived and resuscitated, okay? I would have gone with that. Our guy Matt Derrick was fighting the good fight for that argument on Twitter the last 18 hours or so. Look, I understand your arguments. Otherwise, the man died. The fact that he is alive, the fact that he was on a team, and if you want to give me conspiracies about why he was around, go for it. He was on a team. He played in an NFL game this year. I don't care the reasons behind it. He got there. That would have been enough for me. Name the damn award for him at that point. Yeah. I understand why it was Flacco, but man, I think it should have gone to him.
I mean, it clearly would have gone to him had Flacco not come around this year.
Sure. That the fighting about it got kind of nasty in the wake of the award being handed out, but I would have gone with Damar Hamlin for that. I understand the other arguments. I'm going with Damar Hamlin.
And then I saw people like, oh, his fake punt fiasco is the reason he didn't get it. That's
very dumb.
That's a very dumb take to have.
There are a number of reasons you could certainly argue for someone else. That is not a good one of them. Yeah. I'll just be blunt about that. One other NFL headline we'll get to here. We'll get to a couple other quick ones from outside the NFL in a moment. We already know that Brazil is getting its first ever NFL game coming up next season. The Eagles will be there week 1. How about this? Another game in Europe. To the Iberian Peninsula we go. Madrid, Spain is going to host a game in 2025. That was announced earlier on today.
Dan and I were talking about this. So they had to drop it today. You know why?
Why?
Because some international sports reporter, dropped it in Kelsey's media availability sometime this week.
Really?
He said, there's rumors the NFL is going to go and have a game in Europe or in Spain. What's your thoughts on a game being in Spain?
All right. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
So somebody beat him to the punch and they're like, well, we got to drop it before the Super Bowl.
Yeah, apparently so.
We're not relevant.
Jeez. Yeah, that's cool. That's neat. At some point, we are going to get, and we talked about this last year at some point on the show, and I think it is very obvious that we are going to get to this point. At some point, we are going to have every team in the league plays an international game during that 17th game of the season.
Yeah.
I really believe we're going to get to that point. Not sure how soon, but at some point, with all the different places you can play in England and in Mexico. And Germany and Brazil and Spain, it's going to happen at some point. We'll probably get multiple Mexico games, multiple England games, might even get multiple Germany games, but everybody is going to play an international game at some point.
I've got another two kind of quick NFL headlines.
Hit us with them.
We saw the other one's official, one's not. So we know who the new Patriots head coach is, this former player Gerard Mayo.
Yep.
He was linebacker, correct?
Correct, yeah. One of Bill Belichick's all-time favorites.
He is bringing in one of his former teammates, Dante Hightower,
Another linebacker.
as the linebackers coach to fill that void.
Makes sense.
And then this news, not official yet, but Ian Rappaport had it from earlier. The Chargers are targeting former 49ers All-Pro linebacker Navarro Bowman to be their new linebackers coach, bringing him back together with Harbaugh. The two sides will come to an agreement on a deal, but will have to come to an agreement on a deal, but it's believed it'll get done. So 2 more linebackers hired to be linebackers coaches in one where the linebacker coach was promoted to head coach.
Here's the thing about Navarro Bowman. He was awesome. He was such a good NFL player. He was first team All-Pro in 11, 12, 13, and 15. And the only reason he didn't get it in 2014 is he had a torn ACL and MCL.
Yeah.
He was an incredible player. Retired after the 2017 season, so he only played 2010 through 2017. He was sick, though, man. He was such a good player for those Harbaugh 49ers teams. I don't know if he can coach, but he was a hell of a player. I know that for sure. Real quick, before we get to a timeout here, because we do owe you a timeout, we got some bills to pay. From the college football world, it is official. Bill O'Brien is the new head coach at Boston College. We all knew that was going to happen. That was a pretty open secret. He had taken the job as offensive coordinator at Ohio State earlier this offseason. Did you see who's replacing him? Chip Kelly.
Chip Kelly, yeah.
He's leaving the head job. Yeah, leaving the head job at UCLA to go to be the offensive coordinator at Ohio State. The connection there is that he coached and was the boss of Ryan Day at New Hampshire when Day was a player, and then Day coached with him in a couple different spots as an assistant coach as well. This is, I think, a two-part thing. One, Chip Kelly historically has hated recruiting. He hated it at New Hampshire. He hated it at Oregon. He left for the NFL in the first place because he hated recruiting. And then he hated it at UCLA. That's a big part of it. And now he doesn't have to be the lead recruiter. The second part is he was going to get fired so quickly next year. I don't think UCLA is going to be very good in their first year moving to the Big Ten. And yeah, it was going to get pretty ugly, I think, for Chip Kelly. One other thing real quick for Major League Baseball. Corey Kluber announced his retirement today. 13 seasons, 3 All-Star Game appearances, 2 AL Cy Young Awards, 1 American League pennant. Famously that year, his team got to the World Series and lost in 7 games to the Chicago Cubs. Really good player, though.
Yeah.
Really good player. We have to get to a timeout. We've got our final thoughts on Super Bowl 58 coming up next here on 580 Sports Talk. Second half of the JV game is underway at Rossville High School this afternoon. Once that is done, and we are done here on 580 Sports Talk, we will ship you on over to our Lewis Toyota High School basketball game of the week doubleheader from Rossville. Should be a banger in the girls' game. Silver Lake versus Rossville, and then Silver Lake versus Rossville boys game will follow immediately after. So, our Dan Lucero and the coach, Larry Latimer, will be on the call of that one coming up a little bit later on. I did see a tweet in regard to the comeback player of the year. Something about coaching and comeback player of the year, that it's literally harder to lead the Browns to the playoffs than it is to come back to life after dying on the field. I'm trying to find who tweeted that. Obviously, a little bit off color to say something like that. That is pretty funny though. I can't find where this tweet came from. Very much off color, but very funny. Also, some other drama from Radio Row over the last 24 hours or so. So the Chicago Bears, they are probably going to draft Caleb Williams.
Yes.
That seems to be the case. DJ Moore made a comment this week, the number one receiver for the Bears, where he was pretty much like, hey, man, I love Justin. I want him to be my quarterback, but I'm going to be cool either way. The way he phrased it made it very clear that he had been given the call. So I'm not really surprised that they're going to draft Caleb Williams. That's what they should do. Justin Fields stinks. He's not good, and they should trade him because he stinks. But someone also shouldn't give up a draft pick for him because he's also not very good. So that's my read on the situation. But they hired Shane Waldron as their new offensive coordinator, who had formerly been with the Seattle Seahawks. How about this from Jackson Smith-Njigba, rookie wide receiver for the Seattle Seahawks this year, who everybody thought was going to be, the most must-have quarterback this year, or wide receiver, this past year in the draft. Here's his direct quote when asked about what Bears fans should know about Shane Waldron being their new offensive coordinator. Quote, is this live? I'm playing. Good luck to y'all. I mean, he's a great person. End quote. That's what you got from Jackson Smith-Njigba about Shane Waldron. That, to me, I thought Waldron was a fine hire. That, to me, is very, very, very funny.
Yeah.
Let's revisit something that came up a little bit earlier on in the week. I think it was on Monday's show that this came up. Dan mentioned it, or at least brought up the topic. Something that you have felt confident in all 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl. Something, we'll go on both sides of the spectrum here, that you felt comfortable in as soon as we knew the matchup, middle of this 2-week stretch, so back on Monday, and now on our final show before we get to kickoff, of Super Bowl 58. What is something that you have held true to, have held confidence in the entire time leading up to this game that has not wavered even one bit?
I mean, it's kind of a given that Patrick Mahomes is clearly the better quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
You can't waver on that. I mean, I still don't understand why the 49ers are favored and why the odds have them favored at all.
I'm trying to understand as well. I told you straight up from the very beginning, and I can pull it up right here where I got the line at, because I took the Chiefs against the spread and I took the Chiefs on the money line right away as soon as it came out, and I don't have it. I know I made the bet. I don't have it saved in my phone. I'm gonna have to pull it up here. I don't understand why it hasn't gotten closer to the Chiefs. I'm curious what the money looks like going, what the public money looks like, how many people are betting on the Chiefs, how many people are betting on the 49ers, etc. Because I can't think of a good reason why the 49ers would still continue to be favored. Because in my mind, bet this stuff on the Chiefs immediately, and it was going to swing back to the Chiefs being favored. Yeah, I got the Chiefs at 2.5 as an underdog as soon as the line dropped, and then I took the Chiefs on the money line at the same time. I mean, I dropped a couple of units on that. I don't get it. I really do not get it. I don't understand. I think the Chiefs are clearly the better team. I guess we're going to find out come Super Bowl Sunday. The fact that it hasn't moved off of it, I mean, millions and millions, if not billions of dollars are being bet on this game. We understand that. Probably just millions, not quite billions. For the year, billions are being bet on professional sports and just sports in general in the United States. But my point stands. This is the most bet game of the year. I understand why, law of big numbers, law of large numbers is what it's called, that will end up with similar numbers over the larger course of time. I just would have thought it would have ended up swinging back toward the Chiefs. Let's flip the question on its head here, though. What is something you have changed your mind on? Is there anything you have changed your mind on, changed your stance on from 2 Sundays ago to where we are now in regard to this game?
You go first.
Okay.
Still trying to think of what I would have changed my mind on.
I think I've changed my confidence in the San Francisco defense. I think the conversation you guys had last week with Steven Ruiz, I think the nature of this 49ers defense all year long, what they thrive with, who their best players are, where they line up. Steve Wilks is a defensive coordinator. They are very good. But I don't think they're an unstoppable force, man. And clearly I picked the Chiefs from the very beginning. But, man, I'm going to go with saying that I think the 49ers defense is even more gettable than I thought they were from the very beginning because the Chiefs have this extra time and because the numbers, even more than I knew previously, really flesh out. The Niners don't mix a whole lot up. And I'm going to take the Chiefs against that kind of matchup, that kind of stagnant matchup every single time. Every single time.
Mine is a changing throughout the playoffs, I guess.
Okay.
I really thought all the injured players for the Chiefs would make an impact negatively, but it's really next man up. Like that's coach speak, next man up mentality. That's player speak. But I mean, Nick Allegretti, next man up. Like he is filled in admirably. And I mean, you lose 2 defensive line guys. Willie Gay is not out there against the Ravens. He's supposed to be the spy on Lamar Jackson. Well, guess what? The linebacker core did it without him.
And did a phenomenal job.
Great job. Him. The defensive line has gone without a couple players. Obviously, you lost Amenahue for the final part of the Ravens game. You haven't had Noddy for weeks. And, you have studs, obviously, but your core guys aren't there. And I thought that maybe the Chiefs would lose. A part of me thought the Chiefs would lose because in the AFC Championship, because of the defensive line and then Willie Gay not being out there, that was kind of scaring me. But that's what's kind of turned me around is that I had a negative thought that that the defense was just going to implode with the injuries, but that hadn't happened. They proved me wrong.
We'll get to one final timeout. We'll come back. We've got the final word. We'll get you ready for Super Bowl 58, get all the housekeeping out of the way, and we'll have our final thoughts going into a chance for the Chiefs to win their 3rd Super Bowl in 5 years, in the last 5 years, in their 4th appearance there in the last 5 years. That's coming up as we wrap up this Red Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk. It is time to wrap up the final edition of 580 Sports Talk before we get to Super Bowl 58. Again, your programming lineup for this weekend. We got college basketball coming up tomorrow. High school hoops tonight. Dan and the coach are getting ready. They are all set to go. We'll get to them in just a few minutes for our Lewis Toyota High School Basketball Game of the Week doubleheader, Rossville versus Silver Lake. We will get to that coming up in just a few. Tomorrow, we've got K-State basketball, men's and women's, on our airwaves here on 580 WIBW. Washburn is going to be involved in a massive doubleheader, especially on the men's side. I mean, both games are going to be huge. The men with maybe some NCAA tournament implications tomorrow over on Country 106.9. 1 o'clock tip-off, 12:45 broadcast start time. And, of course, on Sunday, all afternoon long, we are going to have Westwood One's pregame coverage for Super Bowl 58. We'll take a break at 3 o'clock, 3 until 4. We will have the Chiefs Radio Network coverage of pregame for Super Bowl 58. And then the game itself, pregame at 4, kickoff at 5:30, Chiefs 49ers right here on 580 WIBW. We, myself, Spencer, and Dan will have the Chiefs Instant Reaction Show on YouTube and on Facebook shortly after the game ends. Might be just after the podium celebration for the Chiefs, but we will have that for you on our YouTube stream. All right, with that, without further ado, Spencer, let's get to the final word. Final thoughts as we get ready for Super Bowl number 58.
This is an interesting one for me. My final thoughts are, final word today is, obviously I'm covering this team, so I'm not somebody that I'm not a fan, but essentially I'm a fan. This is the first time where I can say I'm going to be rooting for a team in the Super Bowl, and this is probably the closest I'm going to get to celebrating a Super Bowl victory for some time, even though I think the Commanders are headed in the right direction. But yes, that's my final word.
It's been cool to have the Chiefs as a secondary team, to emotionally to root for, and obviously for work purposes. It's been fun to follow them. I think they're going to get it done. I know the last time I was this confident about a Super Bowl, it blew up in my face. But this offensive line ain't that offensive line. And Patrick Mahomes has been through the battles. Kelsey, Reed, this defense, they've been through the battles. I think they've got the better defense. I think they've got the better preparation for the game, the better coach, and I think they've got the better quarterback, and all of those things, even with how good that 49ers roster and staff is, I think the Chiefs just have a little too much. I think the Chiefs get it done, and they get that third Super Bowl of the Patrick Mahomes era. That does it today for 580 Sports Talk. We will talk to you win or lose after the game on the Instant Reaction Show on YouTube, and of course, next Monday, 2 until 6, breaking it all down for you right here on 580 Sports Talk. Until then, for Dan Lucero and for Spencer Dupuis, I am Brendan Dworzinski. The Lewis Toyota Game of the Week doubleheader is coming up next. This has been a Red Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk.